Live. What's going on there, citizens of the Reject Nation? Greg's going to learn how to be on this side today. Well, John, we're live, right?
Conceptually.
I think we're live.
Let us know, people.
I think we're live. How do you guys like MODOK?
It's haunting me for the rest of my days.
I think that greatly is the new term.
Scott Welsh described it as comic observant yielder designed only for knowledge, and I was like,
I think it's brilliant.
I love it.
Koidok's good work.
John,
my mom's in the chat. She caused Koidok to exist.
Drink your everyone, drink your G Fuels.
This episode brought to you by Delicious G Fuel, which I requested at the door today.
Powered by G Fuel today, people.
Get
all right.
20% off select tubs with code REJECTNATION, all one word.
All right. I'm ready. How does it feel being in the center, John?
I don't like it. I've lost my purpose, and now I'm just here with free hands, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
You're the center of attention today.
I said don't want to be the center of attention.
You're the only one of us who had time to watch it 3 times, so you're gonna nail this. You're gonna lay down the opinions today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's the joyousest of us.
I'm here to throw a wrench in everyone's gears today.
We are a positive force, and he's the most positive. So he's the center because he's got a trickle down.
John says it takes 3 times to turn it
on
around.
The third
I'm
viewing.
very curious as to how and why my third viewing was the way it was. But
they broke you down, John.
But I will say this. Actually, I don't know. I'll talk about it if anybody cares when it's appropriate.
Oh, we're going to talk about it.
Oh, we're going to go into it. So, guys, in the chat, you know what? Everyone in the chat, thank you for everyone who's here, by the way. If you're here, please go ahead, leave a like. Be very much appreciated. Helps with the playback on this video. But we are going to keep this one focused today. What is everyone's general opinion right now? Rotten Tomatoes, critics love it, audiences hate it, and then the cinema score is through the roof right now. These are all accurate facts that you can check up online. Trust me, you don't want to doubt me on that. But it is
now
killing
I
it.
don't know what's real.
1 through 10, should we say? Like everybody give a number. I'd love to see people.
I'm a 6.
You're a 6.
I'm a 6.
I'm a 6.4.
Way to be generous. That's nice. John, did you skyrocket?
Like 7.5.
Congratulations, man.
All right.
This is the first time I would ever encourage somebody not to go to IMAX and instead go to 3D.
3D was much better.
IMAX, I think, really exposes the artifice of this movie in a way that does not help, where 3D actually helps it feel like you went to a real place that wasn't just a green screen.
Much trippier in 3D. Like, it's much more immersively disorienting in a good way.
Good.
And 4D. I mean, I saw it in 4DX, so I would say go for that, because when you're getting thrown around, that's the most immersive, when it feels like a Universal Studios
The best
ride.
way to love this movie is to not watch it.
It's easiest
Don't
to
watch
have
it at home. Don't watch it on the biggest screen.
Go to 3D.
Make sure you watch it on 3D. Then you'll see it's a great movie right there.
Don't watch it. But IMAX doesn't help it because all the extra resolution exposes the artifice, whereas all the filtration of 3D helps it to feel less
glowing
artificial.
7.5. I love it.
I'm just saying,
that
I was able to, while there are flaws with the movie, certainly still, I was able to enjoy the experience front to back, and that's the thing I wanted most each time I saw it. So seeing it on Thursday night with like a good audience who was into it, who did not clap at the end, who had gripes, but who was into it, and it was a better format. It was a much more enjoyable time at the MCU at the movie.
Well, looking at the chat, I'm glad, John, your opinion went up, as always. Now, what I'm looking for here in this chat, I'm seeing everything going from like 6 to 7 primarily. Actually, no, I'm downplaying it. It's more like between 6 to 8 is where everyone's really hovering with this film. I'm not seeing too much in the chat right now, like super enthusiastic comments. And we got several super chats that we do get to. And thank you to guys who do our super chats. Streamlabs, of course, also appreciated. They take less fees. YouTube takes like a giant cut of the super chats.
It's almost
they're like, no, we deserve like 50% of it.
We pretty much assume you're here because of us, the actual structure, not your content. It's the YouTube name.
Okay, I'm seeing some 9 out of 10s here. However, what was I talking about prior?
Score, experience, watch. I think they were caught up.
Score, experience, 3D. IMAX.
How to watch it so it's disorienting in the right way. I think my issue the second time, I've only seen it twice, the first time in 2D, the second time in 3D, I did prefer the 3D, which is not something I often say, is that I liked the first 2 acts even more the second time and was almost to the point where I was like judging myself for not liking the movie. And then at the exact same moment the first time something happens and I go, oh no, it's worse. Because I had been happier. So like the higher dropping lower was more jarring. So I fell further into the pit of despair. So I honestly, it went from like a C- to like a C. Yeah, it's like a C- still, but it just feels more painful. I wanted to love this.
Yeah, what it reached for me the second time around too was the first half of like when I said in our non-spoiler review, the 30-minute chunk that I really like is when you go to the Kang flashbacks with him and Janet, and then Kang meeting Ant-Man. To me, still the best scene in the whole movie, and then they have the probability realm. I thought that was a great sequence. So that 30-minute chunk I think is really solid.
Yeah.
But then, on the second time around, I'm like, actually, even the first part's not too bad. I'm not like massively emotionally invested, but it's fun. I would check out once in a while going, but I know a lot of this is not going to pay off.
That's the issue is like the movie for me is, okay, so I'm just going to dive in and hopefully that's okay with everyone here. The announcement of Kang in an Ant-Man movie, which apparently was planned since soon after the second movie. So it wasn't just like we need Kang. I looked into this. They like wanted Kang in Ant-Man for a long time. So I was thinking, and this is spoilers, everyone. I'm going to say some spoilers. Spoilers are coming. No more warning. Spoilers. They literally...
We've already been spoiling.
But I'm going hard. They literally put Kang in the only movie where there's an Avenger that deals with time in a non-time traveling way.
Sure.
Ant-Man deals with relativity of time. When he's big and when he's small, time is relative to Ant-Man. Why?
Talk to the audience. You don't need to talk to us.
Why did they not have an element of lost time being a factor, therefore having Kang offer Scott, as he has alluded to in the trailer, time with his daughter? Why did they not threaten Scott by aging up Cassie instead of using telekinesis? Like, age up, like, sacrifice more time with her or offer him time. Again, time right there. 3, they didn't make, like, it's right there. And then the relativity thing. If you've got Wasp, Ant-Man, and Cassie, their sense of time is relative in the quantum realm. Why not have something involving like a time vortex instead of a force field with minions? Something where only Ant-Man could be the one who could get through. If he can kill Thor, if he can kill all these other Avengers, something has to be unique to Ant-Man to make the story work. And he's the only Avenger with time relativity, and they didn't even touch on that. They also put Ant-Man and Cassie in the quantum realm, which is microscopically small, and then broke their own rules wherein they got bigger and needed citrus and all those fun jokes of like when he's bigger. They're still microscopic. The bigger of small is still very small. They broke their own rules. They don't have the fundamentals of what time relativity even means down there, because you also don't see a single moment where, like, when they hug, they're relative to a place we've never been, so you don't care, you're not invested. They're just hugging. Like, they're just on a green screen.
And they're
like,
on a platform with buildings in the background that don't look as scopic as they could. It was, again, I got the sense of scope better in 3D, but it is like a bit of a strange stage.
And one line, a single line, one line of dialogue fixes my Kang problem. One. At the end of the movie. Spoilers again. I know, I'm just nervous. I'm not used to saying spoilers. They are a council of Kangs talk about Kang. You know what one of them could have said? A Kangsel. One of the Kangsel could have literally just said, and so we, banished our weakest member, but even our weakest being thwarted by an Avenger is shameful. They could have literally acknowledged that was weak Kang, and then it'd be like, oh, now I'm worried for Phase 5. But instead, we've got this situation where it's like, now we've had 2 properties be like, guys, Kang's gonna get worse. And no, you can't keep teasing. At some point, you gotta give me, like, I'm done with appetizers. Give me the meal. We've been appetized.
All right. That's a great koi rant there.
A crant.
That's a good crant right there.
I want to love him. And I do love Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors was Kang, but the writing wasn't. The plot wasn't. Sorry.
It's funny, as I thought Koi would really love this movie, and I'd be arguing with him.
Every conversation Greg and I had for a week was like, I didn't like it, but I don't want to say too much. Yeah. I don't want, and I was like, don't tell me too much.
It's fine. It's a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, and then then I walked, and then there's one, so we all saw it together, and at one point I saw John change his body language, so I was like, oh no, this is what's going to start to get worse, and then I saw Greg look over at me, and I felt my own face being like, and I was like, oh no, and then it's just descent.
What moment was that?
It was as soon as the ants were announced, I knew that would be the third act. As soon as Michael Douglas goes, there's a technological city of ants. And that's another thing. Okay, so
Whoa, Coy, we gotta reserve some of this because you never know.
Okay, it's
People
true.
sometimes come up in
come
a
up.
super chat.
You know, the same way
I've got a better
same way
ending.
Hank Pym walks through this movie going, I like ants. You should walk through this stream going, I like rants.
I do like rants, and I would. Michael Douglas needs to be my deep fake.
All right,
I have a
John,
better ending for Michael Douglas.
teach me the ways. I do this to see the super chats.
Yep.
Oh my God! So if I wanted to,
Or
Godwin Alex, watch another stream. People
Or
saying I'm too much.
can
This is
hit
what I do
that
on this
button.
channel. I'm enjoying things. Over animated. Fuck yourself. No, like I'm gonna do what I want. You're here. Fuck off or
that
not.
was a nice blast of energy just there.
Yeah, that's what I. It's
appreciated
like
it.
are you trying to get us demonetized, Coy?
I'm trying to get the people that want to talk crap not in here.
Coy, you
I
spend
censored
too much
myself.
Spend too much time on Twitter.
So I said, oh, dude,
I see Coy on Twitter. I'm like, this can't be good for the brain.
I do it between sets and helps my workouts.
I'm like,
it's like games because I get angry and then I
oh,
get stronger.
Smart. All right, guys, I'm gonna dive into here. Dan V900. Love and Thunder was awful. It has a higher cinema score than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
What is B plus?
It's B+, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is B. Black Panther 2 had a rough first 90 minutes with an Avengers finale. And I hated the last 10 minutes of Quantumania. Kang was completely undercut. Well, we did a video about the mid-credit scene. We expressed our thoughts on it, how I thought it felt like a cartoon and is not threatening. And someone brought up a point that was brought up to me from Omni Media, Michael B. He said he realized when the movie was done that it doesn't change. It's a movie that's all about setting up Phase 5, but it literally tells you nothing new.
Nothing
there's
changed.
there's nothing new that is like this thing that happens in the post-credit scene is like, that's what He Who Remains was talking about, but there's nothing
This
new.
movie could be skipped and would change nothing.
It actually changes literally nothing, and it doesn't even succeed as being a standalone Ant-Man movie, and it doesn't really do much new for setting up Phase 5 either.
Even
But
its
what
own
did you-
stakes
what
are
did you-
undermined.
I mean, we you guys know how we felt. It felt like a cartoon. I see other people saying it feels like an SNL sketch. I want to coin that. I said that first.
It was him.
But yeah, Coy, what did you think of the? Because John and I talked extensively about it already on the channel. What did you think of the mid-credit scene? I saw you like. I don't know what you felt the second time around, but I remember when it ended, you went down. You did this. You went down.
I did, visibly. Okay, so my thing with Jonathan Majors is he's got this.
Really quick recap in case people.
Oh, okay.
Super quick recap. 30 seconds on what happened in the mid-credit.
So basically, the mid-credit scene is the Council of Kangs gathering around and basically discussing the events of the film in real time about their impact and how they must call all the Kangs forward because they're starting to touch the multiverse. So the Kangs are aware of this event occurring and they know that they need to do something to change it. You've got a kind of play. I think it's the Scarlet Centurion is what they're leaning into for the first one introduced. You've definitely got Ramatut, and you've got what might end up being Immortus. I hope that's not the Immortus design they go with, but you've got three Kangs of note, and then they cut to a entirety of Kang Council in this giant arena, and they actually grab a frame straight from the comic book, literally down to the last Kang that turns and yells at the camera. That's from the comic. I enjoyed that as a comic fan, but as a movie fan, I went, well, that's weird out of context. But it is a post-credit scene that does set up something, but my issue with it is Jonathan Major's strength is that he basically is able to play everything so real and so grounded. I believe it. Jonathan Majors can do the most ridiculous accents, and he can basically the post-credit scene was a Meisner class in Hollywood and an actor being like, let me try these 5 different characters. But Jonathan Majors is so good, I'm in. Like, Jonathan Majors can literally change his cadence, and then I'm invested. And he can also do accents, and I'm always in. But the issue was, it was so big times all of those characters, it felt like an SNL skit because there wasn't anything
There's
to
no
ground Majors.
time
Yeah.
to get used to these characters.
Yeah, you're not able to.
It just cuts to them. It feels like a spoof out of like Walk Hard when they cut to the Beatles. It
does.
Like we're all doing accents, and it's just cutting to. So it feels goofy.
And it's not his fault.
And
to me,
well, to me, the scene too with that you're referencing within the comics, there's like an ominous build to seeing everyone there because he's like in the darkness, and it's like who's there? He's like reveal yourself, individual or something. And then it's cut to like, oh, there's a massive amount of Kangs, and then here they're all like getting ready for like a high school football game.
Yeah, they're all about to watch Smallville take on like Gotham, and I definitely was bothered by that.
And I'm like, I find the setup for Thanos in the first Avengers movie, that scene leads more of an ominous mood than the entire mid-credit scene. And I feel like even if you're excited by the context of all the Kangs coming, the scene should feel threatening and menacing. And to me, it doesn't. To you, it doesn't.
Act
sound like
1 and 2 of this movie setting up Kang and letting Kang be the guy leaning back in the chair and experiencing the depth of all these things. That's Kang. As soon as you've got Kang being like that, it loses what Kang is. Like Kang speaks in capital letters, but it doesn't feel like he's yelling. It feels like he's menacing.
Okay, cool. John, I want to get your thoughts on this, John. John, I want to get your thoughts. John, you're in the center.
I'm here.
Dan V900, thank you for the super chat, my friend. The original ending from a test screening 4 months ago, John, was a Kang escaping with Scott and Hope getting trapped in the quantum realm, which I thought this movie totally pussied out on doing. I'm truly baffled that was changed. I do have the second viewing made me sort of appreciate the ending a little more. The mid-credit scene was rushed. Now, John, can I direct this to you? For me,
I feel
John.
like I feel like there's some kind of weird joke about to come, and I don't know what to expect right now.
No, I'm just
a trap.
I'm in charge of them.
Are you going to trap me in the quantum
I'm
realm?
charging them on.
All right.
I understand the ending bit of having Cassie open the door because she has in the very beginning say, if I had a device like this, I could have saved you. And I didn't catch it till the second viewing because it wasn't until the second viewing where she says it at the beginning, like, oh, yeah, she says that, and that's what she does. I get what the movie's trying to do, but the moment still doesn't hit for me, and I felt like they totally chickened out on what could have been a good ending. But, John, would you have preferred this original ending?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly presents a more interesting prospect and a more striking bit of peril and continuation for the Ant-Man movies going forward. I feel like they wrapped this up in a way where you could kind of happily ever after them if you wanted to, and maybe then we just see Cassie moving forward. So yeah, I mean, it did feel like a bit of again, third viewing, everything worked a little better. But it is one of those things where after a tandem of very conveniently timed events, this is perhaps the most conveniently timed event because even Scott and Hope, they literally go, let's go home. And then the portal opens behind them. And you're like, did you know she was going to do this?
Did you hear it? Was there a tinkling?
So yeah, I don't hate the choice to bring them back immediately at the end, but I am still kind of taken aback, and I think it would have been a more interesting prospect to have them trapped there because then that would at least give me some kind of lingering reason to think about, what's going to happen with Ant-Man and the Wasp and stuff like that.
Olivia's trying to trigger you.
Not yet. My issue, and I've seen a few comments about where you guys are haters like Last Jedi or something. I saw some dumb shit. But I think that
Last Jedi rocks.
Last Jedi is the best
Third
since
best.
Empire. Right?
I saw your list on Twitter today. I'm
Do you
just
agree?
quoting you.
Oh, do you agree? Disagree?
I don't think it's the third best.
I think it's. I legitimately do. I think it's the.
Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think how
I
you rank.
I was
I don't
hoping
know.
to have this debate again.
Anyway, no,
today.
let's move this on.
So basically, we're not anti-Marvel. I think that what we want is we don't want to accept mediocrity because then we'll get mediocrity. I think the reason they delayed the Marvels is because the stakes are higher for the Marvels now. The Marvels comes out in November as opposed to July. Guardians has been done, and that's going to wreck all of us. I think Guardians is safely going to be amazing, but I think now they've had Phase 4 be ups and downs, and I was the biggest defender. Watch anything on Koi's Comic Corner, anything in this channel. I was saying, hey, they have a plan. We should wait. We should pay off. And the thing with film structure is the first act is going to be set up. The second act is catalyst. The third act is resolution and climax. So the second act needs to be more cohesive. My concern is... Koi Kane Bear this week. My concern is that it's the kickoff to Phase 5, so the stakes are higher because this is the beginning of change. So the reason I'm way harder on this film is because this was supposed to be the catalyst to make things evolve and change, and literally this is more innocuous and more removed than any of the Phase 4 films. If you actually look at the ramifications of this, there's less consequence. So if this is the thing that is effectively the beginning of a new arc and the beginning of the introduction to our Phase 5 villain, it is a lot more of a big deal that this feels so mediocre. So if we accept mediocrity, we'll get mediocre films. So the reason I'm so much more angry and the reason I'm so much more spoken and I'm not as usually this vocal with my negativity is because there is a point where positivity causes harm to the product and the art I love so much, both the product and the art being separate things. So there needs to be a ramification, and thus we're being more open about it. It's not negativity for negativity's sake. It's to cause the consequence of change.
Can I ask you all a question to the chat as well as you guys? Because
Yes.
I've heard differing opinions, and I spent some time on Thursday just chatting with fans outside, just like people who are enthused but aren't critics. Did you take this? Because I can understand this feeling inconsequential if we think that we will never see this iteration of Kang again. Do you think that Kang the Conqueror, this Kang, is made to return, or do you think they are setting up a different Kang will be the bigger, badder version on the way?
I think Kang gets absorbed into time itself in a way, and he comes back as a wielder of time to bigger scale. I think that wasn't his death. That was him melding with the fabric of time, and when he comes back, he'll be stronger.
But it will be that
I think
Kang
it'll
the
be that. I
Conqueror,
think it'll be
not one
that
of the
Kang,
guys
yeah.
in the arena. Nobody know, because some people
I
have
think
said
it's
like,
going to be the one guy in the arena who's screaming.
Yep, that one.
Just that one
Just
guy.
that one. That
Just
one.
that one guy.
I want it to be the guy
God,
that like
turn it
bows and
around.
does his, like Power Rangers pose. No, I
yeah.
think that Majors. One of the coolest things I heard from Majors describing that Kang was, what would a man who could speak every language sound like? And I'm like, that's the guy I want to meet. And I feel like the depowered version, because of him being out of space and time, doesn't allow for that. So he put so much work into this character, and it showed. I want to see that guy get to flex.
True facts. I'm going to keep this stream moving here. What the hell?
Starwalker.
Starwalker. Starwalker. Thank you for the super chat. Your support is greatly appreciated today. How long was Squad in the quantum realm during the blip again? 5 years, but it felt like 5 minutes or something to him, right? He
Yeah.
said something like that. Because that quantum math seems off if Janet was down there for 30 years, right? Am I missing something? That's a great point. That's a good question.
I'm not.
My biggest qualm with Janet in this film is her whole thing about don't go near the quantum realm. Don't even look at it. Don't breathe into it. Don't talk about it. Don't take a Polaroid of your device. But in the Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene, she's like, yeah, we're going to send you in there, Scott. You're going to collect some DNA. Hey, Morty. Yeah, you're going to send...
Oh, gee, Hank.
Gee, Hank, go in there.
Gee, Hank, I don't know about this. I don't have enough PIM particles.
Weird time to be doing Justin Roiland impression, but...
No, this is our audition to replace him.
But to me, that part was it kept nagging at my brain of this doesn't make any sense to me. It was this continuity. There's a lack of continuity.
Somebody just asked. I'm sorry. We do Spotify, and this will be up there pretty soon. So keep an ear out. You can already hear the non-spoiler reviews up there.
It's
Podcast.
literally uploading right now in real time.
Whoa.
Is that crazy?
Whoa.
You can
That would
catch
be
up
cool.
now. It's insane. Thank you, Star Walker. Chevet
Janine, what's up?
saw this movie today. I'm glad you did, Chevet, and thank you for the super chat. And I honestly loved it, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I
I'm
hope
jealous.
I'm rooting for people to love it.
I want people to enjoy this movie and fight with me in person about it. In person. Online, you're being a coward. Find me in person and argue with me, and then you'll find me going, yeah, man, I'm glad you liked it. I thought it was fun.
I want someone to find me at Flogging Molly this year, just like last year, and get in my face about this, just like they did about that pedophile movie. And I want that to be weird and uncomfortable. What was that one that got nominated for the Oscar? That
Licorice Pizza.
yeah, someone like tried
Guys,
to fight me.
I appreciate everyone who contributes to Super Chats today because Koi is determined to get this video demonetized on
It was a
playback.
thing.
I was like,
so I
Jeepers
really appreciate
Creepers?
the Super Chats and Streamlabs. I like that holes joke, but then they kind of beat it to death. Povenmeyer, thank you for the Super Chat. Hey, guys, I got a question for you both.
Yeah.
I'm spinning this off the top of my head. What if King Dynasty is in Kang's past, but the Avengers' future, and he's already experienced those events before being exiled in the quantum realm? You know, Koi recommended a comic that it was such a fast read for for me. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's just called Kang the Conqueror. Who's the freaking writer? I always forget it.
Jackson Lansing.
Jackson Lanzin. And to me, when I read that, I found myself going, I hope this is what Kang Dynasty is. Because it's essentially it's following a young Nathaniel Richards who discovers time travel after living in a great utopia where like violence is all. He's just bored out of his mind. It's like an anime character who's bored and looking for adventure.
Yeah.
and then when he time travels, he meets himself. And he's like, this guy's a bad dude. I can't be this dude. And then you watch the journey unfold, and I won't spoil it. That's
beautiful.
just the setup. And to me, I was like, this is such a fantastic way to get to know Kang. And that's more along the lines of what I'm hoping Marvel will do something like. Because you say Kang Dynasty, I'm like, well, this would still fit that because you're still meeting Ramatut. You're still meeting other Kang names that I don't recall at the moment. But
Strode, Centurion,
you got
Immortus.
a lot of Ravonna Renslayer in
Yeah.
there. I thought it was an amazing comic book, and so if there's a King the Conqueror, because I read the Kang Dynasty. My favorite chapter in Kang Dynasty is the one where there's no text.
Oh yeah,
It's-
that's a beautiful.
It's
like,
powerful.
Yeah.
For most of it, I'm not a major. I had a long talk with Coy about it. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the event comics.
Well, there's a time when they just were dense to be dense, and there was also a writing style that doesn't really translate to now, especially with Kang, where it's like, why am I reading like a book you take out of the library, like a
It's
reception
just a lot
book.
of information and with a lot of action.
Yeah.
and then
Dense, punch, punch, punch.
yeah, and I'm like, and then the action feels even more repetitive when you're just looking at pictures.
But I do think that with Thanos having his own movie in Infinity War, it'd be cool if they went even harder with that, with what you're
Exactly.
describing. Because
Like,
Jackson Lansing's book, it came out in 2021. You could probably get it at your local comic store right now
Amazing.
still. It is beautiful. It is atmospheric. It's a love experience about time and love. And I think it could beautifully tie into the He Who Remains and the Kang we've met so far in a way that would be really unique. And I think Marvel can really right the ship. And I love your idea here. I've talked about before, I think that a lot of Phase 4 is going to be surprising in that there's things out of time. I think we've already seen movies that don't take place in the time we think they do. So this would totally tie into that in a really fun way.
fantastic. Dan V900. John, I'm setting you up here.
Cool.
I'm going to alley-oop you here with a question.
my
and you got the
hands
your
open.
hand is the answer.
I'm ready to shoot the ball.
Dan V900 back at it with the super chats. Thank you, Dan V900. You're being a top contributor today. I'm going to hit a random button.
Yeah, that's a good
Tinkerbell.
one. I
That
like
was nice.
it.
I like that.
Kang can't be taken seriously as the big bad now. Honestly, don't worry. The next one will be the real threat, is what they keep saying, right? The mid-credit scene was a joke. Majors does not serve well with the writing at the end. What do you think?
I mean, the mid-credit scene, it's weird. Like watching the movie the third time, the humor of the whole thing bolstered that in isolation. However, I still think that because the movie is splitting the difference between the tones, doing the humorous, Ant-Man stuff, but then crashing it into this Shakespearean warlord story, I do think it muddies the water at least. Like, I am not sitting here going like, well, they totally ruined Kang and now I don't care to see him anymore. Like, yeah, is it what everybody wants and is it the most agreeable take? Is he best served by the writing? I don't necessarily think so. I feel like you can comment more deeply on the nuances of how they wrote him. But for what it was, like even the second time, honestly, like the third time I should say, I didn't have as big of a problem with the way they vanquished him because it started to read much more like a big team effort. Like, okay, the rebels came in and they had to take out the Kang bots, and then Hank comes in with all the ants and stuff like that, and then Giant Man is like punching him, and they're slowly dismantling his suit, which from what I understand about Kang, he's a brilliant mind, but the power comes from his machines and things that he's built, not from an innate telekinesis or anything like that. So I bought in real time the way they were able to wear him down and as a collective army overpower this guy. I know you're going to hate this, Olivia. I get it. A bunch of ants took out Kang. I understand. In logical sense, in the grand scope of things,
We need Olivia on the show. We got
as an
full range.
overarching piece of a big interconnected thing, yes, it is a questionable decision. In isolation of this movie, I had a lot more fun with what they wanted to do as an ant family adventure. But yes, to be like, this is the big threat that I'm going to take seriously, I guess it's clear from people's responses that they are going to have to work to bridge that gap some. And because He Who Remains had an innate quirkiness, and by contrast, Kang the Conqueror does not. He's seething with rage and sorrow and pathos. And then the rest of the Kangs just all feel kind of silly. So I feel like they have set this weird table right now where I don't know what the next iteration of Kang's going to be, really. But I still think Jonathan Majors sells it so hard. And yeah, that third... I love having Olivia in the chat. I
Telling you,
do.
fourth chair.
I
Fourth chair
truly,
right
I
here.
love it. I like. Part of me wants you in this stream to throw down, but part of me is like thrilled that I can just glance
It's
over.
fun
and,
because John
yeah.
will get the most offensive if you make a joke about him, so it's the most fun.
Yeah.
And
More than
Chloe-
me.
No, I know. I know that my
No, I think
third.
if we make a joke about you
Oh,
and Olivia makes a joke, you'll laugh,
That's true.
react. John can get a little more defensive.
yeah,
And then I just will yell at you both when the camera's not
that's true.
rolling.
Yeah, as soon as we wrap,
As
it'll
soon
be.
as we
We'll
wrap,
we'll
I'm like,
reveal that.
wow,
wrap.
Greg can take a joke, but then when the camera's not rolling, then it's like,
Gotta hide the
Coy,
bruises.
I am reconsidering you being part of this joke.
Why are you on the Real Rejects? You said 2 swears. I will also acknowledge that I agree with everything you're saying, and I think it's really important that also people saying like why did you make 4 videos about this if you didn't like the movie, or why are these things? I think that when you don't like something, it's more important to also quantify like the impact of what didn't work. Again, like I said in that rant, like I think we love this world and we want it to be better. So I think that like the delays are a good thing, the doing less shows are a good thing. But again, clearly they're listening. Like the Marvel world only works because Kevin Feige clearly listens to the fans, because Marvel clearly goes like, ooh, adjust here in real time. So if we keep going like, yay, blindly, then it's not going to get fixed.
True,
So
true.
I think these are important conversations to have.
This is a
think
moment where I just really hope they don't take the wrong lessons from people's responses. That's all, because I feel like it could be very easy to find the wrong message from what people are responding to.
I agree.
All right. When I start to scroll up,
Yeah, I was silent. I
we've gotta
shut up,
start
Greg. I
moving
did.
on this floor. 10v900. Back at it.
Read that. John doesn't have a backbone enough for what? Ooh, this is getting real. I like it.
He's trash. She's
getting
trashing
personal.
Coy too. Oh, we're gonna see John fume today. This is
No.
gonna be
Here we
fun.
go.
No,
Here we
I
go.
fully admit, like, yeah, the third time I had the experience I was hoping to have all along.
Olivia, you're leading to us not moving on now. 10v900.
Almost. Not 100%.
Did anyone have a real arc in this film? Nope. No, definitely not. I can't. There's not a single person here who can tell me that there was an arc. I can't even see a justification. And guess what? Even Thor: Love and Thunder had a character arc.
Ouch.
And Thor: Love and
Even
Thunder.
Eternals has a character arc.
Eternals has a few.
Even Iron Man 3 has a character arc.
Iron
What
Man
else
3
is
is
a
great
bad
film.
received one?
Iron Man 3 is a great
I
film.
don't remember Thor: The Dark World enough. Is there a character arc there?
Maybe. I think he goes from
Kinda.
violent to violenter.
And Jane
There's-
goes from being like in control to silly.
There's
Yeah.
something there. No one has a character arc. This would have been perfect. Here's what my pitch for if they just did what the trailer was, then they would have had a character arc.
Time.
If it was, oh, Cassie and Scott have a troubled relationship, because it would be like, all right, even though Scott's back, Cassie is kind of having this like weird subconscious abandonment issue. She's still had 5 years without her dad, and she went down a different path during that time, and she still hasn't fully resolved her shit. Bam, you got a setup for a character there. And then Scott is consumed by his own ego with wanting to be famous. That's literally what the trailer seemed like it was doing. And then he's not really there for his daughter. I thought in the movie when he's like, I just want to be there for my daughter. And then it cuts to Cassie, that you would see, oh, he's just bullshitting the world. He's not really there for his daughter that much. And then as they go through this journey through the quantum realm, then you watch as their relationship changes. That thing that where the trailer spliced together, the flashback with Janet and the conversation with Kang to make it seem like Kang was offering Scott the chance to be with his daughter, that would have created a family conflict and a nice dynamic. That way, that dynamic would have been like, there's a conflict with the Ant family of, Scott, you don't know what you're doing. You can't trust this guy. It would have created a debate around the goal.
Greg, are you saying that the only Avenger in Phase 3 that lost time with his family in that direction should have had the only villain in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe introduced so far wield time as a threat?
Yeah, I'm
Because
like,
time is the thing he
it
could offer.
would have, all they had to do
Just the trailer.
was do what the trailer, like whoever made the trailer
Genius.
clearly had, like, I know what a better movie of this would have been to give it a character arc and some stakes.
And what's hard is Peyton Reed is such a comic nerd that he probably wanted that story enough. He planted those seeds.
And what you could have done for Wasp, who is not a character in this movie, what you could have done for Wasp is have her be trying to be a stepmom.
Right.
But Cassie
even
can't
talk.
connect with her.
Right.
boom, you got character arcs.
You
that are
move-
set
if,
up.
you, if you put Hank by himself, right? You move Hank
Yeah.
over here, and he's going to talk to his aunts and have his little ant adventure, which would be a fun little side mission. A C plot with Hank
Yes.
allows Hope and Janet time so they can actually have a motherly bond, which would parallel Scott and his daughter's bond and have a fun little dichotomy. And that at the end would have served the ant moment even more. And it would also allow a lot of interesting moments where the end of this movie should have been, right? The first movie's called Ant-Man, right?
Yes.
Second movie's called Ant-Man and the Wasp because they finally let Evangeline and Lilly do something. Make the third movie Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. End the movie with Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne trapped in the quantum realm. They're wandering off to rebuild that city with people, and the title comes up, and it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it's Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne trapped in Quantumania. Then there's stakes,
Yeah.
and then it makes
Exactly.
all three of the titles
Exactly.
very impactful and
Boom.
interesting.
Boom.
Evan, I can't remember your last name, but Evan in the chat said that the coffee shop guy had an arc.
He did. He
And
was the
that is
only
true.
one.
He learned.
And that is
MODOK has an arc.
He does. He absolutely does.
This movie.
Don't be a dick.
yeah. Gannon Fish, I love your name. Thanks for the super chat. Hey, Coy,
Hey,
you were met at the FaxX trailer launch, and he was so kind. What happened to Kang at the end? Any theories? He's big and small at the same time.
He's MODOK now.
He's actually that I would be weirdly on board
Let's
for.
do it.
the next time he appears, it's a little Kang
Sure
MODOK,
is, yeah.
and it's like a little blue hand.
But Jonathan Majors is still doing the same exact
But, like,
serious
super
performance.
focused
Yeah.
and in. Yes.
I would be totally down.
I think Kang gets trapped in time itself, and I do think he comes back personally.
He got beat by ants. I didn't agree with
That
how
was
he.
so.
I didn't agree with how he went down, and I didn't agree with him solely relying on his shit army. Like
Right.
that was something that made no sense to me that he would. Because people are like,
Yeah.
I heard some people defend this movie going, but you see Kang get dirty and he goes down there and fucks people up. I'm like, he does that for like 15 seconds.
After sitting and watching. Also, like I told you guys when we first walked out, I was like, is Kang's weakness big people? Because
Yeah,
as soon
he's
as
the giant
like, he
man.
literally looked out the window, he's like, oh no, he's big now.
I've seen a lot of the quantum realm, but nothing like this.
but nothing like a microscopically big small man.
I'm gonna throw out a quick theory here. I think the rings of his ship are related to the 10 rings and the bangle from Miss Marvel, though,
100%.
because they have the runes on the outside. So I think
I
they
think
must
time relates to the bangle and the 10 rings.
Yeah.
So I think that we
Yes.
find out in like phase 5. I totally agree. But I thought we'd find out a plant of that here. I thought we'd
Yeah.
have a seed of that.
be. Yeah.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you, Mickey, for the super chat. Hold on, I gotta read my text.
All right.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's very
I will
important.
say, I guess the point of my change of partial heart is the
don't
movie is
need to
way more
defend
enjoyable,
yourself,
but there
John.
are these road signs of missed opportunities left and right.
I
like
think
the-
it's better
where the
to-
story and the script
Too
could
many
be much richer.
tangents when I'm trying to keep
I
this
think it's better to enjoy it.
chat focused here.
Greg's he's being very
Just
brave.
trying to keep it focused.
I mean, half the audience is happy or being critical. The other half is like, why can't you just enjoy movies?
This movie
There is
has a
no winning.
50%. Of course, it's going to be divided in the chat.
50% is great because that's true divisive.
Mickey,
That's not met. It's true divisive.
we were missing the homies. We were from the first two. 7 out of 10.
That
we
is-
were.
That is the thing. That is the gripe I actually care about and am legitimately bummed out about.
Do you have
no Luis recap or anything like that.
Do you have a way to bring him in? I had a whole thing.
I thought he was gonna be there at the end, being like, "So wait a minute," like recapping the whole movie, like that's what you did, like, or
Yeah.
maybe he shows up at the book signing, like he didn't even come to the book signing.
I wanted David Dastmalchian reading the book in broken Russian. I wanted Luis to basically tell us what happened in the 5 years Paul Rudd was gone.
Sure.
Can you imagine like a full
Yeah.
but what he does is he gives us all of the MCU shows. So all the MCU shows that people that just watch the movies don't know, he basically like spits those out. That would have been so much fun. There were so many opportunities.
You know what I think a good post-credit scene would have been instead of what we got is him talking to an Avenger about instead of him brushing off like yeah no big threat in the
Yeah.
ending like oh don't worry about it right now. I think a good post-credit scene would have been him talking to an Avenger and warning him about it. That way it feels like that way it made it feel like the movie's important. Like guys,
Yeah.
there's a Kang coming.
And
you
like
know?
that same ominous tone could have
Yeah.
actually worked at someone.
I don't want to forget our Streamlabs, so we got 2 right now, so I'm gonna like quickly hop over to here. Did I do it, John?
It should have been
Yeah, you can also use this button.
should have been Sam Wilson. That
Sean,
way we finally see Cap
please.
in the big screen.
I appreciate your help here, John. Thank you. Just a recap. I can't tell if Coy liked it more the second time or not. John liked it more the third time. And I'm about the same. That didn't really change. I'm like Love and Thunder. I really didn't like it that much the second time. But
I liked the first half more the second time and the second half less. So
guys, Garth Harkness McMurray. Thank you so
love this
much
guy.
for the stream. Streamlabs are actually better because of the fact that they don't take as much cut. Because, YouTube is like a mafia invading a town. Mark Oliver, but we love you, YouTube. It wouldn't be alive
Please,
today
YouTube, we love
existing
you.
here if it was for you. Mark Oliver Everett of Eels is the guy who wants Scott to take a photo with his dog. What makes this cameo guys, fun fact. What makes this cameo interesting is that E's father, Eels. Everett. Hugh Everett III is the quantum physicist who first proposed the many worlds interpretation MWI of quantum physics.
That's
How
incredible.
cool.
Yeah, and this movie really takes advantage of.
That's a
physics.
really cool.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
it's
didn't
true.
know that. That's a really cool fact.
That is a real cameo.
And also, Ryan from BuzzFeed Unsolved has a cameo.
Oh.
When he meets
That's
up
who
with,
it was. I couldn't pinpoint it.
Yeah, when he meets
he's
up with Randall Park
yes,
and
that's
they
who
smile
I
at that
could
couple.
not put it together.
It's Ryan Cabrera.
You're
or whatever his
right. I
name
was
is,
like,
yeah.
who is that guy? But I kept thinking of movies.
Yeah,
yes, you're
yeah,
right.
I love
BuzzFeed
that.
The
Unsolved.
second you said it, I was like, that's who it was. Yeah.
yeah.
Curtis Mason here. After Doctor Strange's mom got several spoiled in the trailers, I started only watching the first trailer for Marvel movies. Thank you for the Streamlab. I believe it has helped me to have a better experience with Thor 4, BP2, and Ant-Man 3. Thor 4 is still too silly, though.
I love the caveat of I've enjoyed these. Thor 4, still not so great. But yeah, Curtis, Curtis, good to see you. I think that not watching the trailers is the healthiest way to enjoy any of this. We're just stuck on the internet.
Guys, I got to level with you, man. It doesn't really change that much for me. Like, I saw, every trailer and leak and thing for Spider-Man No Way Home, and that more than delivered
Still
for me.
great.
Yeah. Black Panther 2 saw, every trailer. I love that movie.
Well, if the thing
And
is
so-
good enough, the spoiler won't
Yeah.
hamper the drama.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted some basics. I just wanted,
I think
something we care.
storytelling.
Just wanted
a little bit.
stronger
I
choices.
just wanted some characters in here. I'm not asking for a lot. You know what I mean? All right, go
They
on.
also set up characters. It's not like the movie didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's dialogue throughout the film about him and his daughter and time never landed. And that's
Yes.
really difficult for me.
Yeah. Look how much catch up we have to do here, guys.
I stop talking very quickly
Isn't
every
that
time.
awesome how much catch up we got to do? I'm going to keep us on track. Don't you wait. I mean,
Don't you
I
wait.
mean,
I won't.
Do wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
All right, guys, check it. Here's what Cam K is saying. Yeah, you can see your name, right? Yes, whatever. Thank you for the super chat. Kang got beat by the ants. That's minimalizing the fact that Kang actually got beat by a Class 2 technocratic civilization of overly sized, extremely intelligent ants with thousands of years of advanced technology. Give credit. Fair enough.
They are incredible ants.
This is Kang the Conqueror. So here's what I'm saying, though. If these ants already exist,
He's conquered him.
this Kang's conquered. I'm saying,
you just had to
if you
earn
have
that
ants-
rather than just having them show up.
if you have ants and then Avengers fight Kang, it's going to be no problem. It's going to be not a problem.
My issue is Phase 3, Batroc leapt, Killmongered. In Phase 4, Gore did not butcher, and so far, Kang has not conquered. I'm having
What-
trouble with my verbs.
What is who's the worst Kang of them all?
I mean, probably the guy that turns and screams at the camera in the post-credit scene, because he's
No,
pretty lame in
the
the comic,
biggest,
too.
baddest.
Oh, the worst is in the big. The
the
Immortus
biggest,
is
baddest,
the most.
scariest.
Yeah.
Immortus is the scariest.
It is Immortus. Okay.
Which one sucks the most at his
That's
job?
what I was like.
Yes.
The one that just yells.
Well, you see, yeah, I mean, I don't like the payoff in the moment of it, especially because I felt like Michael Douglas was kind of just walking through the whole movie.
He likes ants. We should make that super cut.
I love
you
that.
and I love that joke
It's
way
silly,
more than anyone else.
But I love that half of his dialogue is just, I like ants.
Yeah.
I'm an ant. Ants?
I
Me
wanna
and ants?
cut that into the movie Falling Down. I want to watch Falling Down and then just have scenes where he's angry. And just, I like ants.
I like ants.
People saying Kang killed all those ants. He still got overtaken by. He's the guy who's apparently beat. This is the Kang that was so bad that got exiled. Someone defends it, saying actually it could be an unreliable narrator. He's saying that, but the movie, but that might not be it. I'm like, okay, you're giving the movie a little more credit. I'm going with what the movie gave me. So bad he got exiled. And he's so intelligent, he builds this army that he wants to take up to Earth so that way he can start conquering again. But this army got taken down by apparently this rebellion that was never strong enough to take him down before. A giant guy, a wasp, and a bunch of ants. And I feel like Kang, if the ants had been around there for that long, wouldn't Kang have been intelligent enough? I mean, that sounds like I'm undermining. I'm saying the character that, at least it's been told for me,
Mm.
would have been aware of the ants, right? He would have. Wouldn't
He
he have
was
some
aware of
awareness?
them landing as soon as they'd landed. Bill Murray even said, like, he knows you're here because I know you're here. He'd know about the ants. Like, there are
Yes,
so
he
many
would know
flaws
about
even
the
in
ants.
in movie logic.
My question then becomes, because what I've noticed every time from the first time on is that the ants each activate some odd. It almost feels like they do shrink when they're going through the quantum portal that none of the other ant family characters do. So
They have those little helmets.
So I took it
Yes.
as they go to like a subatomic place, which it still seems like Kang is omnipresent and knows everything, but at the same time, that read as, I guess, maybe what they were trying to communicate is they went even further down than everybody else did, and so maybe they were able to just kind of do their thing.
It might have been fine too in the final battle if it looked like Kang was actually winning in the fight at first.
Also, if the ants took out his minions, there would have been some symmetry of like the idea that Kang needs this civilization for him to rule, and the ants need to take out that civilization. Like there were parallels that could have worked because the
True.
Ant-Man scene where he became ants through the division of reality and probability, him mirroring ants was fascinating. You could have had that same mirror with the ants taking out the colony that Kang built because he is a conqueror, a colonizer. You could have had that colony of ants take out his colony, and then our family take out Kang himself. But instead, they didn't play with any metaphor. They just had him get run over by ants.
True. Listen, Coy, we're not on the new Rockstars break room.
Okay.
I think it's important you look to the camera a little bit more.
I keep reading and getting angry.
Or you know what you can. Why are you getting
Because I
angry?
keep seeing
Don't
stupidity.
look at the screen. Look
You're
at the
getting mad.
circle.
Just let people. It's there. You gotta stop getting so affected
I just-
by people.
Greg, it's because I love people and I keep being proven
Jesus
wrong.
Christ. Just
They're breaking my
act
optimism.
like like there's. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go down this wormhole.
I was trying to stay calm, so I was looking at my
I get
friends.
so triggered.
I do.
There's no need to. Up, down. What 814? 99% of the people who say stuff mean to you online are not going to say it to your face in person.
And the one that tries,
Unle-
come on.
All right. Not everyone's Olivia. Olivia will say this all to you.
She's
in
back.
person. She's
Oh,
back.
she's
in
been
heat.
in here. Yeah. She was just like, "Where's the script that John and Coy, where's the script you sold?
but
Because you
she
both
will-
clearly like
she
first
will
grade
say it in
humor."
person to you.
Oh, that's
Sure.
true.
That's
Sure
the
she will.
credit I'm giving.
That's why she's a real one. That's why you
That's
married
why we
her.
love her.
Absolutely.
Oh, cry. Thanks,
Up,
Olivia.
Up, down. She knows it's gonna get to you guys. My name is Darren, and I'm not a dick. MODOK
Love
works
it.
so well for me, and the audience basically laughed at every joke with him. Darren, R.I.P. I know it's funny. Like in the first screen, people hated him, but I loved MODOK, especially in the second time. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I wasn't sure if I really loved him. On the second time, I'm like, I love this guy. He's funny. He's the only one with an arc. His line about, well, look at me. I'm such a dick. Like, it's a great delivery.
Tell me what to be. No, his deliveries across the board are perfect.
Yeah.
Even the line where Scott is like, Darren, and then he goes, MODOK. He
Yeah.
goes, yeah. Like,
What?
the one word deliveries. When he pops up, I don't know why I was the only one that laughed in every screening of this, but when he pops up outside of Hank Pym's helicopter, he goes,
Hi,
Hank. It's so funny to me.
Hi, Hank.
It's so good. So yeah, I loved him. He's my
Well,
favorite part of the film,
I
and
mean-
David Desmalchin's little holes guy.
And
Almost
his
died.
line too, because like the first line of "You were always like a brother to me," and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." But when he caps it off with, "At least I
Died
died,"
in
in adventure," so funny.
You did.
yeah, that's how it works.
really did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like
I
he's
guess.
dying, just let him.
let him have
it's
it.
So funny. That was, and then they have like the. Because like we already had such a funny death with Deadpool 2 when he kept dying.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, they managed to do something different that I thought.
Also,
really worked.
visually, if you rewatch the first Ant-Man, it's so perfect that they made him MODOK with his little arms. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a
That
good
is a
long
great
game delivery.
example of an in-universe change to an origin where they really made the most out of something. And when they
100%.
recap that and they're like, oh, wow, the way he shrunk down, it makes perfect sense.
I loved it.
Leia Ariana Bonnie, great name. Yeah, it's a great name. Star Wars in the MCU, Kang had Vader vibes. Love it. Kind of. I feel like he should be more Palpatine though. And he's not really Vader to me.
I agree that it felt Star Warsy, and I agreed that in the first two acts, there were definitely Vader vibes with like his presence walking down hallways and the cape, and there were elements I totally see. But I think that we should meet a more Emperor Kang next. Hopefully, like
Yeah.
he should be pulling strings.
And I think the other part about when people say it's like Star Wars, I don't know. I absorb all the Star Wars movies. I've seen the animated shows. So when I hear that, I go, there's some stuff that has like a production design quality that looks like Star Wars, but to me, it doesn't really feel like Star Wars to me. When people say that, I subconsciously just disagree. Or I'm like,
I think it feels like Star Trek in a way, and I think it has Star Wars set pieces. But I think Star Wars is
Fair
more
enough.
of an adventure. Like the score to Star Wars is what I feel like
there's more
Star
of like
Wars
a
feels
hope and wonder and more of a fantasy. So there's more of the sci-fi of Star
There's
Trek,
more
but Star Trek's a little more heady than Star Wars.
But it's
Star
paced
Trek
more
is
like
more
that.
is more ethical quandaries, and then Star Wars is more swashbuckling.
Oh, I like that.
I think John actually put it best.
Yeah, that's really good call. Yeah.
John with the words. That's why you're the center
why
of
it's in the
today.
middle.
That's why you're in the
That's me.
middle.
Yeah, it's like a mishmash of like my friend described it as like a mishmash of like Star Wars, Mad Max, and Total Recall.
Mustafa Jav. This movie was more out of place. Thank you for the super chat with no heist. So even then, you could have like enhanced that more. If there had to be a journey to get to what is it called? the big
Probability storm.
no, the actual device he's trying to get, the multiversal.
Multiversal engine.
Yeah, when he's trying to get to that, instead of just dive and like I love the probability realm sequence. Please don't excuse that fact. I love it. But if there was a little bit more of a focus, as that plot comes in so late.
Yeah.
And there's this there's something that I don't like about this movie. There's this unnecessary build that they treat him like Voldemort when they just don't say Kang's name. It sounds like a nitpick, and it kind of is. You know, they're always like, he's coming, him. Everyone's just saying that. And then after you meet Kang, everyone just calls him Kang. And I'm
It's like they had to meet him until they'd say it.
yeah, like we know what's happening.
Yeah,
It's just-
we've seen the trailer.
This is not really building for me.
I'm very curious to know what somebody who isn't as immersed feels about that specifically.
That is a good question.
Like someone who
actually.
might not have seen Loki and doesn't know what to expect. I wonder if that works any better.
But I mean, I think I think they could have made a heist element out of it if it was really like, and that would allow for Scott to explore more of that way. You see more of the quantum realm because he has to go through the quantum realm and encounter all this shit because he has to work in order to get to this device. Then I'm like, boom! Then you get to really explore and live in the quantum realm.
They could have even had everyone get sucked in the quantum realm except Scott, and then they could have had his boys have to help him use the device that she made to have him go through the quantum realm,
Yeah.
and that could have been the heist. That could have used the team.
Yeah.
That could have been him doing
and it
it
could
by
have been
himself.
like if I was there with my family and my daughter,
And
I wouldn't
I
have.
can't
I
lose
could
her
have
again
been-
like this.
Boom! Better movies
Right?
all around.
In the first act, you
what
bring in
if?
the old team, and then you also allow for the heist.
Corey M, thank you for the super chat. The quantum realm is its own universe, so they're not tiny anymore. It's confusing rules.
Yeah, I don't understand how he
Well-
got big small, but it was different.
Well, I get it. It's just it's just yeah. When you go into a place like this, then the sense of scope changes and diminishes. It's like you're not in the real world blowing up a Pez dispenser and being like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Here you're more you're just in a different, complete realm where that stuff doesn't apply the same way.
But is the implication that he's actually giant, but isn't he still microscopic?
He's giant relatively, but
Right.
but yeah, I get
But
what you
only
mean
relatively.
about the physical aspect, about like the you know,
His
I'm so
rules-
hungry, like that I don't quite know.
Because it's not
where to
like he
fall on.
traversed. I know it's a realm out of space time, but I don't think that implies it's in another parallel. Like I think the rules would still apply because he's still infinitesimally small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. I've seen a lot of echoes in the chat too. People saying they need to ditch these Rick and Morty writers, and I do wonder how much credit or blame can be placed on the writers in a situation like this because of how much modular just tweaking has to happen with these movies. And if you're in this position to be a big setup in a big Avengers tie-in movie, you know, like how much flesh can you put on that? Because like Loki thought had really wonderful writing for the most part. Same guy wrote Multiverse of Madness, and I could feel how that needed to be like reworked and retooled and
That's a really good point.
modularly. So like I felt like that's probably not really Michael Waldron's full script on display, or so like
Yeah.
I have some level of faith that maybe this guy who wrote this movie, you know, who's apparently writing Kang Dynasty, might still turn in a great script for that isn't hampered by also pandemic, I assume, played into this. But yeah, hampered
It seems like they
by-
have time, and it seems like they're consciously making that decision. Like I have a lot of hope now,
Huh. Unlike this movie,
where she showed up
there's
barely.
not a lot of hope.
Yeah.
That's how you transition when you're in control of this side of the screen. SKR, this movie made me not feel threatened by Kang anymore. 4 out of 10. You know what I give it 10 out of 10? The fact that you super chatted us. Thanks for the contribution. And yeah, I don't really feel that is the thing. I don't feel threatened by Kang anymore. It really bugs me. I think they have to do a lot of work.
They have to really fix a lot.
Because here's the thing, there might be a good portion of you that still love that and still feel threatened. I think it has made a lot of people, though, and you're going to have to win people over. You are in the position now where you have to win people over to feeling threatened by him. And if Jonathan Majors would watch the movies, he would know. Did you guys see that clip where Jonathan Majors like, I didn't watch it because of acting choices? Which I believe. I actually do. I'm not
My same issue with Scarlet Witch in WandaVision into Multiverse of Madness. No, that is the issue. Multiverse of Madness didn't relate to WandaVision. Like her arc.
Not a Justin Roiland defender. Oh my god.
Who said that?
John, stop getting so defensive.
Amazing.
You give
I'm not actually. I mean,
but in the same way,
I am amused.
in the same way,
I'm playing into the amusement of the absurdity of the claim.
I think in the same way Multiverse
Actually
undermined
there.
Scarlet Witch, this undermined He Who Remains. I think like it's the same level of concern going into Phase 5 that we have. Like I don't know how they fix Scarlet Witch now, and I don't know how they fix Kang now.
I think Scarlet Witch was great. I thought she was so much more scary and unlike whatever qualms you might have with Scarlet Witch from the transition, which I completely understand, feeling like there's a gap there. I understand that. I think, though, the movie greatly succeeded in she is threatening in that film. She is scary. And, like, when she's chasing them, like, when she beats up not just beats up, annihilates the
Sabotage?
5 people who were, what the fuck, the Illuminati. She eliminates
5 guys, burgers and fries.
Yeah, she destroys them and then is chasing. Like, they could not beat her in that film that she had to make the choice to quit. Like, that's how badass she was at the end of the day. I felt more threatened by her than I did by Kang every step of the way.
Sure.
Yeah, and so
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I agree there. Yeah.
Yeah. How do they fix? Look, if you keep killing off Kang, he stops being scary. Now I'm getting triggered by someone's comment.
Welcome to the comments,
Damn it,
Greg.
you bastards!
this
Reel
screen.
me in
This is
to
where
your
anger happens.
comment. Fossil. Why do you think we stick to super chats? This movie are usually positive.
You do us in here. You do it here.
But we keep reading.
Be
You're like
here
fool
now.
comments.
Be here
Fossil
now.
Got
73.
to go to the gym after this.
Yeah, I gotta work out again. As an Ant-Man fan. I honestly had. How you doing, John? You good? William Ozar in the chat wants to make sure you're doing good. Fossils
terrific.
73. Don't worry, we got your chat pulled up right in front of us. As an Ant-Man fan, I honestly had such a blast with this movie. Hell yeah. I didn't find Janet's need for secrecy irregular as someone who suffered through trauma, but it did feel a slight bit too long. Overall, excited for the future. Hey, man, as long as you had a good time, I will never try to convince you to feel otherwise. Even if we are stating opposite opinions throughout the stream, please know that is not us, at least my intention. Coy has a different intention.
Rage.
He always thinks he's in a massive debate with you, and he has to change your opinion. He's trying to manipulate you. John, same thing, especially John. If anyone knows John, oh boy. He is not
I'm glad
someone you cannot have an open conversation with John about anything. He's usually the biggest hater of them all.
That's right.
Coy's opinion does change based on his opinion that day. Coy's a page chill. James Gunn directly messages him.
True.
Be like, hype up DC and talk down Marvel.
Yep.
I just got a Venmo from James Gunn. Hold on.
Yeah.
A Gunmo.
A Gunmo.
I like that it's his own app, but it's the DC logo.
Yes. You know
Check-
what? Speaking really quick, just one really quick thing. My friend pointed out to me after seeing this that she seemed to think that what people seem to want out of this movie is probably what you're going to get out of Guardians 3. And I could absolutely see that.
In what way?
In that this comes off as lighter and sillier and doesn't deliver on being these heavy stakes. No one died. No one really went through any life-changing alteration, whereas Guardians is the funny team who is now going to have to deal with direct loss on screen, a heavier scenario for them that will be less comedic, though there are comedic elements, blah, blah, blah.
I really need Guardians. Like, that'll be my palate cleanser. That'll be like me feeling like Marvel again. Sure.
Coy, look at the camera a bit too long.
Okay.
Now, Coy, for this next time you talk, I want you to look at the camera without blinking, all right?
Okay.
I just want you to give a whole sentence.
Okay.
Sentences. I
Is
had
there
to spit.
is there a question?
I'm building you up.
Okay. It's hard to not blink.
Got to get you to tears. Luke Bros, thank you for the super chat, says, the strongest Kang who got beat by ants, then I know that the other Kangs are not a threat. Dr. Doom has to be the big threat now. This ruined Kang from the jump to the point is now a minor threat. Coy, what do you think? Do you think it's actually a thing to build up?
I think that
You blinked. You
I
already
did.
blinked. You son of a bitch.
I'm out. I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out. That's it. I got no answer.
All right, you can just look at us now and
Okay, good.
completely
Okay,
answer the
good.
question.
No,
I want
I-
the profile.
I'm here. I think that basically in the comic books you got a different medium, right? In the comic books, Kang dying has a different impact than in movies dying. It's the same reason I personally don't want Steve Rogers or Tony Stark to come back. If Tony Stark comes back, I hope it's AI because you can at least have a separation of reality where he's blue and digitized. And if Steve Rogers comes back, I only want it to be as Old Man Steve, basically doing Stan Lee cameos that imply that he is Stan Lee later, and therefore makes it Steve Rogers watching over his people. Those are the
Right.
only ways I want them to come back. Because if you have a variant of Steve Rogers that's just Captain America and it's just played by Chris Evans, the arc and the loss of him is undermined. So the medium of filmmaking allows you to feel connected to the actors as well as the character in a different way. If Kang keeps dying in a way that makes you go like, well, he's not that important, and then you meet a big one, you're still going to have the memory, the sense memory of your experience with Kang all those times. The reason horror movies work is because there's a part of your brain that doesn't separate the experience from real life. You're able to actually be afraid. That same issue will happen in the medium of comic book movies because you're going to go like, I've seen this guy be pretty taken out by ants. So like it's not going to feel like you can separate those things. So what works in the comics doesn't always work in the movies. That's why they're adaptations, not translations, and that's a really important distinction. So if Kang does keep getting taken out by things that feel trivialized and they do keep going like the next one's the big one, eventually we're going to run out of the ability to suspend disbelief enough to believe that he's the big bad they describe him as versus that we've experienced him as.
That's very true. Coy, can you flex for us?
I think there is also just something about it. It is weird to be in this position where you only get one step at a time and they have a big plan that spans, so we can only react in real time, you know? Like,
Yeah,
it's
we
like
only have that.
you're forced to nitpick the plan in a way because you don't know what the full scope of it is.
Right.
Right.
Like
You
we,
know?
we won't know until the end. And I kept saying I'm really excited to rewatch Phase 4 after I've seen Phase 6. But they still need to make sure that Phase 4 and 5 earned that payoff so it isn't only good retroactively. Like Age of Ultron got better, but when you look at Age of Ultron, there's a lot of flaws that never even got solved.
True.
Like tripping balls Thor in that bathtub still doesn't make sense.
It does. In my head canon, that's the Thor that we follow in Thor Love and Thunder. Think about that. We're watching two different timelines of Thor, and Thor 5 will reveal it.
Ooh.
Huh?
I like Taika Waititi Thor just tripping. That
Yeah.
makes so much sense. I like that.
That's what's happening. I've solved your Love and Thunder problem.
Yes.
It's just a head trip. Back to the Streamlabs here. Thank you to everyone who's been contributing. This means a lot. I'm pretty sure Coy got us already demonetized with his talks about pedophilia.
We'll
and,
delete that part.
and efforts.
We'll mark it. We'll delete it.
thank
You said
guys.
it. You just said it.
You said you've already said it. So I have
Sorry,
to, I'm like-
YouTube.
When will I say it? That's the question. When
All
will we
right.
go for the trifecta?
So here
Can we
we
get
are.
Olivia just to comment a block of just that word?
Moi, Coy is cute.
Wow. Someone
whole
created
name.
an account just
I'm
for
honored.
you.
I'm honored. That makes up for some of the rage.
Thank you for the Streamlab. Kang is not threatening anymore, man. 4 out of 10. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you a great podcast question. Let me ask you guys this. Oh, wait. No, I totally skipped ahead. I will go back to you, Flav. Don't worry. I haven't forgotten. Let's say Kang is met, because it looks like in the post-credit scene for Loki Season 2, that is the Kang. When He Who Remains is talking, there was a Kang with like a beard and a big hair and stuff. That looks when he's
Victor
like
Timely.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but I'm saying, but He Who Remains when he's doing like some presentation
Oh,
for
yeah,
Loki,
yeah.
looked like that was Victor Timely in there. Do you think if we see the Victor Timely then die, that's really going to undercut it? Do you think they'll kill off Victor Timely in Loki Season 2?
Oh.
I'm just trying to create it because we already got that question. I'm trying to like create.
Yeah,
something
no,
a
no.
little different,
That if they
but I appreciate the streamline.
if they do, they at some point they gotta stop like just killing because I think I think Phase 1 we learned a lesson about just killing villains. Like I feel like Batroc is the only like one of the first villains to actually like become an overarching villain. And I get that there's multiple Kangs, but I do think there comes a point where if you just kill him, it's like, why is this guy like why are we worried about that guy we kill a lot?
Right, right.
So if they better not kill Timely, because that would
Yeah.
that
I
would
mean, it could be the quantity. They could go with that. That
Then you got
every
the Gray
time you
Minions
see a
problem.
different because Kevin Feige's been like, oh man, we're gonna meet so many different versions of this guy over all these movies. So maybe it's the quantity rather than any one particular Kang.
I don't feel
I
like
don't-
that'll
That doesn't sound like a confident prospect as I say it out loud, but maybe.
It'll kind of feel like the Gray Minion problem in Phase 1, though, where they're like, we attack all these guys and they're all kind of a blur.
Sure.
Like, I just don't feel like you need a Doom presence.
Sure.
Yeah, you
That's
do.
fair.
You need at least one who's. That's why I like the idea of the exiled one going back and like actually like whooping all their asses because then it would have been, oh man, this guy is scary. He's taking
Yeah.
out all the other Kangs. Anyway, Flev Doran, who's usually a massive Marvel defender, just came by to say hi. Thank you, Flev, for being here. Not much to say. Disappointed. Yes, that's what I want to hear. Everyone comes in here defending this movie. What's wrong with you people? Agree with me. That's how I live. I like the Ant-Man films. Like Kathryn Newton, just watch the new SPN video. It's funny, John and I on patreon.com/therealrejects, another great way to support the channel, is there's an episode with Kathryn Newton, which really made both of us go, it seems like they saw this episode and went, she should be Cassie Lang. And that would have been, because she's phenomenal in that episode. And it's exactly the kind of character that I wish Cassie was more like.
What's different? Just out of my curiosity.
Oh, you know, she has struggles. She has to learn how to be. She's trying to be a hunter, and she's learning how to act. She's making a lot of terrible mistakes along the way, even though she's capable and has potential.
Getting in over her head. Yeah.
She kind of carries the. I feel no sense of trauma from Cassie Lang.
They make
in this movie, whereas like in the show, like there's a sense of trauma. Even though, like, yeah, you got your dad back and everything, you still have that 5 years.
They do make her the most agreeable, least, you know, conflicting version. Like she's in jail, but for like reasons you almost can't argue with. And
yes,
and I mean the arc. Funny enough, the arc is in there. It's just very slight, I would say. That I mean, I feel like what Cassie deals with in this movie is just like, oh yeah, I guess I get myself in over my head before I really check to see if I got this, and I should maybe know that I got this before doing that. And yeah,
I see what you're saying. There is it's down there. It's buried.
And it's like they present this interesting opportunity for her to be falling into Scott's past and his present simultaneously,
and they never present that. And also they don't let
Scott
do
much with it. Yeah,
there's never a moment where Scott identifies with his daughter during the Freedom Fighters fight, which was just set up to parallel her being in jail to help the people in the beginning. Like they never actually acknowledge in a way. Like the Freedom Fighter stuff is so clearly like help the little guy. He wrote a book about the little guy, and then she's also like, you don't help people that aren't directly in front of you. I'm like, those are all the things that make up a good plot, but then it never lands.
Yeah, it does. It never becomes about Scott wanting to help the rebels.
Ever.
It's never.
He
about
ignores
that.
them.
He does. He's
over here.
He straight up does. It's all about. I just gotta get my daughter back.
He literally at the end, his arc is like, I'm gonna be the same guy, but pretend for my daughter.
If anything, they should have given that to Janet.
Right.
It's because Janet abandoned them. At least in their perspective.
That's why I want her to stay.
Like Janet, they set her up for a character arc to redeem her. Because I understood it on the second time around. Like, oh, yes. Like she helped Kang get just far enough, and then they had to deal with him. And then she left. So I understand why she feels all this guilt about the situation.
And the secrecy.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, then you should have probably given something to her to, like, go, I'm going to help them out now.
That's why I thought them retiring to the quantum realm like Florida would have been cool.
True. Caleb, here's what Caleb has to say. Hey, you. Thank you for the super Streamlab, by the way. They're better than Super Chats. Probably won't take this compliment seriously, but I genuinely think you guys are great male role models.
Greg immediately undermines as in real time as possible. It's amazing.
Making sure that you are correct.
You set me up, man. The way you guys speak openly, and honestly about your thoughts and feelings and your appreciation of one another is inspiring.
That is so kind, man.
Thank you.
Appreciation of one another.
I don't deserve that, but thank you.
We do appreciate each other. I won't even let this be sarcastic. This is like, I love doing this with these guys. And honestly, like I've said from the beginning, the reason I like these live streams is I do feel like I can be my most authentic self. And that's because of these guys. And it's because of like most of the audience. Like I know I get angry at nothing, which is my own issue. But like overall, this audience is absolutely incredible. He is not faking this shit. He also sees it. I see it, Greg. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. That's really sweet of you. And yeah, I think these guys are okay.
I mean, if you knew me in real life, I'm not a good male role model, but yeah, I very much appreciate the love.
John is a great moil rail model.
I am a moil though.
He's a good,
so
he's a good railroad.
If you need to be circumcised,
like,
come to me.
I know that word. I know it from Men in Tights.
Yep. I know it because of Weird Al, actually. Pretty fly for a rabbi.
I like how comedy informed us.
It took me years to realize what a bar the parents pay the moil and he gets to keep the tip is.
Oh, that's a good
That
line.
is a bar
Yes.
when you realize what the actual context means. Anyway,
Demonetized.
Koi's dedication to passion what he's passionate about is very impressive, and John is honestly probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet. It can be frustrating.
yeah.
Janine DeBean.
Janine!
Janine DeBean
All the
Machine.
love.
I liked the Pim Van Dyne laying. Think I was going to bring you on the channel, Janine. You done shot yourself in the foot here, dear. If you disagree with us, I don't respect opposing opinions. The clan feeling like a team. Yeah, I like the potential for that. I do. Also, like all the ant visuals, as they weren't very present in Ant-Man and the Wasp. How'd that grow on you, John? I know that was a real qualm. Because out of the three of us, John is the most enthusiastic about the first two Ant-Man movies. I'll set you up for that question again soon. Don't you worry, son. I got you.
Sure.
But yes, the ending and mid-credits deems the film event seemingly pointless, and we lose second cool Kang we were investing in. But yeah, I mean, really quick, explain that thing that you were trying to say about like when you deal with the size and the optics of changing from small to big. Like that's something I did feel was missing because there's so much fun about the first two where you're watching like little guy in real world, exciting, and you don't really get a sense of that visually. You don't get lost in the wonder of that, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, because you're in the quantum realm, and the quantum realm is just a whole new place with its own set of at least visual rules and language, and so you don't have that familiarity to temper everything. It's not the charm of, oh, you're really small in a very familiar kind of commonplace. Like that whimsy goes away when everything is sci-fi whimsy, and so that sense of scope and scale is hurt by the fact that, yeah, like Kang's buildings don't really look like actual buildings, and so the frame of reference that you rely on to create the irony and the humor of that and the whimsy of that is, it just needs something else to sell it, which I don't think is quite as apparent here. I feel like Giant Man is the thing that gets to shine the most here. They don't do much in the way of like sizing up an item and throwing it at somebody. Like none of those things really happen, and I do miss them. Although I will say, the thing that clicked about partly about the third viewing is all that stuff at the end, especially with the ants and stuff. It did read better, and it did feel a lot more fun because everything got more fun and silly.
That last ant moment is one of my favorite Ant-Man moments in the entire trilogy.
I love when Hank shows up with the ants, honestly.
I think that's such a moment. I just don't like
it's
what
so fun.
It cost us.
It's silly. It's very silly, and I get why people don't like it in this movie's context, but I think that silliness, the third time I was finally able to enjoy that, which is part of what I want from Ant-Man, and felt like was missing the first couple times.
See, Kevin Feige presented this at the LCAP yesterday, and he referred to something as like, thanks for being here for number 31. Excited to see you guys for number 32. And my co-host on Koicast is always like, they should stop calling them Ant-Man whatever. They should just call them Marvel 31, Marvel 32. And it was interesting to hear that from Kevin Feige for the first time, and I think this might be the first time where I found it. I need the 3-act structure to also feel like a 9-act structure, and I feel like they did a really good job in phase 1 through 3 making those bubbles work. But this was one of the first times I was like, this doesn't, the cost of building cost this movie its own 3-act structure.
That's true.
So that was my issue, I think, with the Hank moment. Was like, I love that moment, but it cost us.
Yeah, there are all kinds of things you can flip-flop. And somebody said, like, I'm not asking it to be the same as the previous movies with, like, regular-ass buildings. I'm just saying they need to bridge the gap of that part of the fantasy with something else, and that doesn't really appear here. Anyway, sorry.
Greg's
I will stop talking in this live stream.
Silence fills the air.
John, get so defensive.
These things are fun to talk about, but we gotta move on.
Do you know how many questions we have?
I know. I'm trying.
Do you know how often
we could be reading a question?
You know how often we fall behind to like we are 2 hours behind here. I'm gonna have a serious conversation with you right now.
It's off camera, Greg.
Yes,
it's off camera, Greg.
Greg is in control.
Turn the camera off
of the comment section today. Anyway.
Well,
Lilly.
Yeah, go.
This is my worst movie in the MCU. Thank you. All hail Annabeth Lilly. Didn't care for any character in the movie. Yeah. Kang's introduction to the mainstream audience didn't match up to even, if there's even a 1% of what the last episode of Loki did. This could have been better off as a 50-minute Disney Plus special.
I certainly don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think this could have used a little bit more time.
I think it could have been
a
like a
2:20.
like a good yeah. I think it could have been like a good 2 hours. Cosmic Corner said 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm like, what do you think you are, John Wick Chapter 4?
Yeah, 2 hours and 50.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
I think 20 more minutes with some of the things we described would have really helped it. I also
It
you
is
know,
less.
Great
It is
smash.
less than 2 hours. In
Is
fact, it is an hour and 53 when you get to the credits.
Wow.
You noticed that on the third viewing, right?
No, I noticed that on the
Clock.
second viewing because Andrew was right next to me, and the movie started after 7, and it was like it was before 9 or something
Wow.
like that when we got to the just the beginning of the credits, not even the mid-credit scene.
Yes.
So it is like an hour. It's less than 2 hours of movie.
Shenanigans. Shenanigans, I say.
All right. Human target. That's what we call Koi around here. I keep thinking of
Great
Tron Legacy. Down to Kang behind. Clue and raging against the surface world. And Janet taking the place of Jeff Bridges. Okay. The effects of MODOK reminded me of Jeff Bridges from
Oh,
Tron.
wow.
That's what I thought. I thought of Jeff Bridges and Scorpion King. Final
And
fight.
George Lopez from Spy Kids.
Yes.
Remember he was that little circle
Yes,
face?
yes, yes. Yes.
Greg got an accent for a second.
Yes.
Of course.
Mold into the darkness.
Let's all take a 10-minute break to do Bane impressions, people. No.
What is this, 2007?
Final fight was cool, but I wish the trailer story was the one we got. Also happy to see Koi thrive since movie fights. That's true.
Screen Junkies days.
That's true, man. Yeah, Koi. I never fought you on movie fights.
We did never fight in movie
We
fights.
never fought. We could have been a great battle.
That
Gotta
would be
rectify
so
that. That'd be
intimidating.
very intense.
The trick to movie fights, you just got to have a great opening and a great closing.
And the speed round was my closing.
speed round was the
That is-
hardest.
That is where I come in.
That's the trick to all debate.
Yeah,
The middle,
it is.
meander all you want.
Yeah.
Close it
It's
out.
about how
Yeah.
you close that
Act
bitch.
1 and 3 are the most important.
People stop listening in the middle.
Yes. Alrighty, guys. All right, we're done with today's stream. I'm just gonna cut it short. What I don't understand is when people go on live streams, when people do live streams and they don't read all the super chats.
People do that?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this channel called Rock?
There's a glitch.
News-
There's a glitch in the live stream.
It happens on too many
channels.
channels they do it at. Whoa, look at that.
Wowie.
Oh my God. Quantum realm craziness.
Quantum screen.
Oh my God. Ah. All right. What are we doing?
You guys are seeing behind the scenes. This is behind the curtain.
This is how it works around here, guys. All right. Speed round. John, answer the questions in the chat that are happening right now.
Yes, for sure. I agree. Harley Quinn show does the Bane voice the best. I have to see it. I've never seen Harley Quinn, but people love it.
I didn't know that. Dude, it's so good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's.
Okay.
I think it's the best DC property since Nolan's Batman. Like it is. I think the best thing since The Dark
People
Knight.
love it.
I'm not
man.
really ending the stream, guys. I'm just reloading.
I
some
know, but
pages.
people are all I can see in the chat is Rockstar. I agree, Nicholas. You are a rock star. Alice and
Yeah.
Mello, you make me say wow every time I see you. David Ebekime, let's laugh together, lols. Nick Hoken, you're invited too. We can just lol on top of one another. Finding the disappointment with the mid-credit scene forced. I can't see how you think it was cringy or stupid. It was awesome. One of the best credit scenes in the MCU.
Okay, so that's. I don't understand how people can tell people that how they feel is not how they feel. I think that's my biggest reason for getting angry in any live chat is like it's a very odd thing to be like, I feel one way, you feel the other, so you don't actually feel that way.
Now I know
It's
why
weird.
people don't
Feels.
read live chats.
It's insane.
It's because
It's like that's
Well,
such a
people like Koi exists.
I
We're
feel like there is a
what
strange
is happening?
there is a strange equation of experience because you see something and I feel like I don't know, it feels like the truth to you, but at the same time it's not objective. It's all subjective. It's always what it comes back to.
Unless it's Thor: Love and Thunder.
In which case,
Yes.
I'm gonna resist the urge to talk about that.
Offended, John. I'm almost done loading. We got a lot of super chats.
I clearly like most of Phase 4 a lot better than most people do. So
I like most of Phase 4.
I think like people dog Phase 4, but I feel like I feel like people look back on the first 3 phases and what they're really thinking about is Phase 3 because Phase 3 is so consistent, whereas
Yeah.
Phases 1 and 2 have ups and downs all over the place and okay-ish to pretty good movies all over the place. And the only thing Phase 4 is lacking is a definitive like Iron Man or something like that, where it's like,
True.
this is a flagship. Shang-Chi and Wakanda Forever come close to that, but they are also hampered by other things, too.
Phase 2 also has the benefit of Phase 3 retroactively improving things, and we, again, haven't gotten to that point with Phase 4 having the benefit of 5
Except
and 6.
for Thor: The Dark World.
Which has never been solved.
They've just keep
True.
on
But
adding
Endgame
importance
helped.
to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that
Yeah.
all the importance can be added to these Phase 4 things, and people just aren't giving it that benefit. It worked. I'm silent.
Olivia Hamlin. Thanks for the super chat. Every time you guys think I'm not allowing you to get something off your chest that you want to say, I know these streams well enough to know it's eventually going to come around.
Here we are.
Olivia Hamlin. All the good questions about the movie are probably addressed by now. Fair enough. Thanks for the super chat. So just have a wonderful Saturday, you wonderful beauties. Thank you so much.
Cheers to you.
G Fuel. I like the movie.
Buy a G
It's just so I stay on theme, but appreciate your honest thoughts. Real Koijex for life.
New channel name.
That's
there
what
it
we're
is,
gonna- that's what
guys.
we're gonna call it.
Koijex.
Taking it over.
That's what we're gonna call it. That's what we should name the podcast, Koi. What
it is.
did I just say?
Did you just,
Did I
Greg?
just tease?
Did you just
Did I
soft
just-
announce a
what?
thing?
Too many. Panther rules. Here we are. In
lot of
my
sounds.
opinion,
Still going.
I know, I'm regretting that. I really loved the mid-credit scene. I can see why people love it.
I'm happy for him.
And if the silliness of the overall experience is working, it plays better in isolation.
Well, some people don't find it silly. Some people really like it. Okay, I got a question to mix up the mid-credit thing really quick. Really
Okay.
quick. When I say really quick, I hope to God it's really quick.
No rants. Focused.
They say they beat him. And to my mind, I was registering that as the Kang that we just witnessed in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people, to me, if that is the case, that makes the journey of this film even more pointless if that is the case. But who do you think they're talking about?
Either one undermines Kang, but I like the first one. I like the He Who Remains concept because at least that's clever. Like, it's more playful.
Sure.
But I do worry either one makes it so, like, who are those? Why are those guys important?
Right. Okay.
But I like that idea. Also, it could be they're talking about someone in Kang Dynasty, and we could see that scene take place in that film in a different
I think
context
we're talking about a different Kang.
altogether.
Oh my God, there's so many Kangs.
Yes, Nick Hoken. You can see that now.
Yeah. We were able to move. We were able to do it. It's just dispute it. Frank Shields. Everyone, I want you to know. I hope that we got another Kang, a version of Kang the Conqueror, because if this is the definitive Kang version, he got beat by ants. Nope. In the words of Daniel Kaluuya, nope.
Underrated movie.
Have you guys seen the Pedro Pascal Hollywood? Have you guys seen the what is that? Have you guys seen any of the Pedro Pascal sketches from SNL?
A couple.
He is hilarious. The Hollywood quiz one. You guys haven't seen it? Didn't I bring this up
Haven't
last
seen a
live stream?
one, but you have talked
yeah.
about the Hollywood. You talked about the Hollywood quiz. For sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's something in it that reminds me of that. But yeah, Frank Shields. I understand.
Apparently, they specifically said the exiled one in that mid-credit scene, so that would be the one. But there could be other exiled Kangs. But you're right; it's probably the one in the film we just saw. Apparently,
yeah,
the
that's
language.
They talk
true.
about exile.
yeah,
So
that's true. Yeah.
They're
It has to
pretty
be.
specific.
It wouldn't make
because
sense.
I think He Who
might be
Remains
exiled.
created, but he seems to have more autonomy.
It's interesting because he
And
is
that's all I have to say about that.
same.
Huh? I wasn't even thinking at that time.
Oh, sorry.
Sean's ahead of the program.
Michael Loco. Let's do this, buddy.
Michael Loco, you're loco. My impression was that the variants of Kang will work together to keep the dynasty. So the Avengers had to outsmart instead of outnumber him, or rather them. It pushes the heroes to think further outside the box verse.
I like the way you phrase this, and I also agree.
I don't get it.
So basically, it's not like we described with the Gray Minions, where it's going to be a numbers game. It's going to be like the singularity of Kangs uniting as a front. So the Kang
Right.
Dynasty is like what they've built. But I do think they also need a figurehead to represent a singular threat. So the Avengers have to think in a way that is both larger than the threat collectively and singularly.
Yes.
And I think that'll make it a different threat than Thanos. But I also think we need a Kang that represents something as threatening as Thanos for us to feel the impact of what he's describing.
Did everyone here say Canos?
Canos.
You heard him say Canos?
Josh
That's
Brolin
the-
is
that's the
Canos.
variant.
Canos.
that's-
Leave a like for
that's-
Canos.
That's the variant where the Infinity Gauntlet is made from recycled materials.
Canos.
Canos.
Just like Mountain Dew.
P.S.
Pepsi.
Yeah, 7-Up. Cream soda.
Sunkissed.
Yes.
Which is spelled sin-kissed, which bothers me. very much.
Jones.
Heather Gear. Thank you, Heather Gear, my dear. Thanks, guys, for your time discussing. Thank you for your time listening. How do you feel about introducing characters like Kang initially in an MCU show first? That was awesome. I loved his introduction. Still one of the best moments for Marvel for me. Do you think they have done MCU show film crossovers well so far? Not really. They haven't really done much for it. And if you listen to Coy's little transition about WandaVision to Doctor Strange, I feel like some might argue they didn't do it so well. I feel like there's still a lack of... I am very confused. I'm very confused about the direction because I love the idea of like every character has within themselves their own universe because that's how comics are. Every character within themselves has their own universe. But the rules of everyone's universe is so varied now where you have the quantum sci-fi side, you have the god side with Thor, you got like the supernatural other god side with Moon Knight. Like
Miss Marvel has her own afterlife with the veil.
That's my point. And like Black Panther has the astral plane. There's so many different ancestral plane. Yeah, Canos. So there's so many different like elements here and different worlds. I'm like, how does this mesh together exactly? Are they going to care to even explain that? Like, because in the comics they don't really even care to do that. They just have like there's a common threat that has united the Avengers. You know, that's really the vibe all the time.
I think that they're doing a decent job, but I do think there's a lot of confusion if you don't have at least the backup of information. We know more about it than the average person, so it's hard for us to say. I don't really know how...
We're the Council of Comics.
We know. But, like, I don't know how the average person feels about, like, who's this person. Like, did the post-credit scene impact people that much that hadn't seen Loki? Like,
That's
that,
what I
you know
wanna
what I mean?
know,
I
yeah.
can't know that because I love Loki.
No, I will say I talked to somebody who saw this without seeing Loki and was intrigued by the mid and post.
Well, I think the Loki scene really does a good job at least, even if you don't really understand, it makes you go, I want to know.
Right.
It does a good job on making you go, I might not get it, but I want to understand this. And that's what more can you ask for?
Mostly I get confused on what kind of interconnectivity we're supposed to expect because I feel like they hyped us up for like, these are going to cross over in a big way. And it hasn't been that like overt as of yet.
Because they didn't even have Zombie Strange.
And I
be the
don't know if
same Zombie
I'm
Strange.
expecting too much of that versus
I'm just going to take an awkward standing break,
what
guys.
they're actually promising.
Also, if they can move so many shows this year, right? We're now only confirmed 2 shows. It might end up being 3, but they said like it is we're getting definitely 2 shows. There was up to 5 rumored in 2023. If they can move those so flippantly, how much could they have connected?
Yeah.
Secret
Well, and I
Invasion
mean,
obviously has to.
and-
But like Agatha clearly didn't have
and
to.
I think you have to asterisk so much of the the Disney Plus and movies era because it's all been mid-pandemic,
Right, but there is a different tone.
and just other world factors affecting things.
We should look at Greg because he.
I'm just going to put it in
He's-
this live stream.
Well, I'll look there. But I agree.
Bring
John.
back the Russo brothers.
I agree. I think they should connect.
I don't know. I like they're capable, yes, but I don't find it especially exciting.
I think Marcus and McFeely are also a factor. The writers should also, like, if you want to bring back the Russo tone, you need the writers that did all of their films as well for that
Oh,
tone.
dude, man, if they can do the Gray Man before the MCU,
I love the Gray Man.
it would be great.
I love the Gray
Be
Man.
great man at that point.
I like the Gray Man a lot more than Quantumania.
Not a big fan of Gray Man. Really
Top Gun,
disappointed.
Cocaine Bear is going to be a problematic one. I have no idea.
And we might do it. We might just censor the title and then not show up in search or
Coca-Cola
recommended.
Bear. Call it
How will
Coca-Cola
no
we will
views.
find that?
No, we'll get no views.
Call it Snow Bear, Powder Bear.
I don't know.
Ooh,
They,
Snow
they
Bear's
might
fun.
they might have whitelisted the word Cocaine Bear on YouTube. James Argenta. Thank you, James. I think this Kang will become the Beyonder. Also, think it will be revealed Kang Enterprises bought Avengers Tower.
Yes. I feel like that has been a theory.
I don't know. I like in Kang Dynasty when they're like, in the Kang Dynasty comic run. One of the cool things about it is Kang does show up. See, the one hope I have is if they're going off Kang Dynasty to some extent, because they always change this shit up, is they've already beat Kang before, so they're like, we got this shit.
Right.
but Kang has learned some shit because he's been beat. They really undermine just how brilliant his plan is, and then he dominates. And it's a pretty epic moment when he dominates. Like it's a bunch of comics, but then they have one comic where there's I think it's called "There Are No Words." I think that is the name of it. And there's one comic where he does it. It's so bleak, and you could feel it like you're reading a movie where it's only images. And to me, that's my one hope of why they would bring back this exiled Kang, because he lost, and it would make kind of like how Loki lost in Thor, but then he comes back in Avengers, even though it was never really threatened by Loki. It would still make this Kang like, I've learned a lot since then. I'm more than prepared.
Yeah, I'd love that. And I'd love if they do it silently. It'd be really beautiful if they have that reflect in the that's a way you could do an adaptation, like a 10-minute, 4-minute like silent section.
Yeah. And then he's like, and I've had a son.
Hang in
He
there.
is Immortus. I mean, he's a Scarlet Centurion.
Hang in there, Hamza.
Iron Lad's here.
You're coming up, Hamza. Don't worry.
Don't worry, Hamza.
yeah.
There's a reason I try to move this along. And then it upsets 2 people on this stream for some reason. Life of
chat?
728. I was hoping at the end of the movie when they exited the portals that the world would be several hundred years into the future where Kang is king and that sets up Big 5 to fix things.
Hundreds of years.
Wow.
Planet of the Apes.
Some people get excited about Rama Tut, and I'm like, didn't the Fantastic Four beat him?
Someone in the chat said Rama Tut's stronger than Immortus, and I'm like, I feel like
I don't
Immortus.
think so.
I feel like Immortus is the
There's
guy.
the reason he was in the pyramid days.
Yeah,
because
he
he,
can handle
got his
that.
ass whooped.
He can handle that. He went and hid in the pyramid days. There were no smartphones.
Yeah,
He went and
exactly.
hid.
Yeah.
I think that would have been really fun, and also the consequences we were talking about. But even the point when he came back and he like looked, there was a moment the first time I watched it when he looked out at the little dog, and also the coffee was $12. I was like, it'd be cool if they just went like 20 years in the future, like just a little bit of a
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
so
they
there was a
didn't realize it.
consequence.
Or you realize something is off about this universe, and
Yes.
that dog is really this woman's baby or something.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah.
When they looked at the dog, I'm like, is he gonna talk? Like there was a
Yeah.
moment I was like, is it Cosmo? Like my brain leapt, and I was like,
Right.
nah, he's just back in San Francisco.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about? Nope, I will not derail us. Eon Blotch.
Oh,
Thank
Bucky
you.
Barnes. Good to see you.
Oh, hey, Bucky. Good to see you, buddy. That's his real name, Bucky Barnes.
Respect.
This movie is an 8 out of 10 for me. Hell yeah. I thought it was pretty good. Not over the top amazing and didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought some of the jokes were hit or miss, and Kang was terrifying. Ant-Man grew 400 motherfucking feet tall.
Did he?
I think you can
Relatively
measure. I think you
speaking.
can measure it, and yeah, it was 400 feet exactly.
400 microns of.
How come? I do have a question about that, guys. Allow me to pose a question here. How come he wasn't? Is there something I'm missing? I'm genuinely going to pose a question here. Question incoming.
What? Greg's like, this is running so
Question
long. I'm going to
incoming.
just pensively dot.
That's the code for. I'm actually asking a question now. Question incoming will be the,
We
the
just got
accepted
the dot
parlance.
dots in a text in real life. I just saw it. I heard it.
Okay.
Is how come Giant Man wasn't exactly tired after he was Giant Man for a very extended period of time?
Because he was still small, but big.
But why was Cassie then?
That's why the
It's her
movie logic didn't work.
I took that as it's her first time doing the giant walk.
Isn't she still tiny?
Still,
500 Alicia
yeah. There's no perfect.
Right? Like,
There's no perfect way to look at it because you're correct. Yeah, it's like
either they
technically,
both needed it.
technically you would still have
Don't forget
tiny
three.
person metabolism just altered for being slightly bigger, but you're still much smaller than your normal. I don't know.
Don't you think they would prepare to have some form of citrus pill on them that could easily be digestible?
My friend hipped me to the fact that's a drugs joke. I didn't realize that's like a Molly LSD.
Oh,
joke.
yeah. I didn't put it together with that, but you're totally right. I love that.
I didn't.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love drug jokes. Star Wars Sith, thank you so much. Do you guys think that King the Conqueror didn't really die at the end and maybe somehow survived, or was he like dead?
That's the question.
I mean, if the other kings are the better, smarter ones, and they're saying he's dead, I'm going to take their word for it. But if he's not, then it's like, okay, I guess the kings don't really know anything and are not good at fighting. You know, I feel like it undercuts those kings then if they're like,
He needs to be alive for the sake of my faith in this Kang dynasty.
But if
I
but
feel
if
like-
the other kings think he's dead, right? Doesn't that undercut their ability to have some knowledge on shit if they believe he's dead?
Oh, yeah. Either way. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, either way, it shows a weakness in Kang.
Yeah.
Because either they're not as omnipresent, or he was not great.
Yeah.
The end
Oh,
was
that's
truly a Kang bang, Bucky Barnes.
Kang bang. Kang bang. Yeah, cool. Hey,
He gets sucked into a thing. He can come back. He doesn't die.
Regalia Talon. Everyone, I want you to know this. Koi, if Marvel hired you for writing, would you, or would you be? I see you more as a consultant instead of the actual writer.
If they hired me as like story by, not like the actual typist, I would be interested, because when I read my actual writing back, it sounds like I talk and I abuse and mutilate this language on purpose. Like, I enjoy the organic nature of English because it's a growing language, and I like to verb my nouns and noun my verbs and use adjectives and adverbs interchangeably. Like,
Verb my nouns and noun my verbs.
bars. But I think it's more fun to use language in a fluid way, and I think that's not as conducive in the written form. And also, the reason I stopped acting was I didn't feel good about other people's language in my mouth, and even worse, when I hear other people use my language, it sounds weird. So I think if I wrote, it would be very odd for another person to try to articulate in the way that I wield language. But as stories go, I do think I could bring a lot to Marvel as far as shaping things.
Yes. It's quite duplicitous of you. Quite zeal.
Quite duplicitous, you one might say.
The coyness, of the coy of it all. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry for being sincere for a moment. Sorry.
No, we don't do that.
Not here. Not in this
Not
house.
We don't do
here.
that. It's
Only when we're
awkward,
watching movie
dude.
trailers.
Awkward.
Yeah. we don't have to
J.
talk.
Colby P. Don't ask that question, Gabriel. We're going to get a wormhole here. Thank you for the super chat. The film was just average. Majors was the best part, but seems like he elevated the character than the scripted. Hey, Joan, question. Do you think it suffers from the same issue as Iron Man 2 and Age of Ultron, where it just felt like setup?
Kind of up until the end, where the setup is a bit confusing, other than the idea that more Kangs will come in some fashion.
Yeah, true.
You know, like, I actually forgive it certain things because it is just the beginning, and it's just here to say, this is the big bad we're going to have to deal with moving forward. So it is, like, in a way, its own contained, innocuous adventure that just happens to be setting up a very significant figure. But, you know.
See, I can't give it that beginning forgiveness because I'm like, it's 5. It's the 5th beginning, and I think they ought to be stronger by this point.
Sure.
But someone did have a good point in the chat, which was that he got sucked into the core, and that sent him to the Beyond, where he's going to come back as Beyonder King. That
I can see
theory,
that.
I like that theory. That's a
That
good theory.
sounds pretty solid, yeah.
It's a good theory. I got a little bit of G Fuel on my mouse here, so that's why it's like glitching a little bit. Flying Squirrels 83, thank you so much. I wish people would discuss how Wasp displayed so little of her own agency or got an arc in a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, boo. I'll be there in 20 seconds.
I agree, and that's
I must
also-
answer to my wife. She's being called. She is my Ravonna Renslayer.
Go.
I like
Go
the idea
for
that
it.
she was in the chat. We didn't see it. Like, now she's doing it manually. I agree with this statement, and
Now you
that's
got
also
20
why.
minutes to-
Oh, this is our one. A flying squirrel. You're honored with 20 minutes of this. What'd I miss? What
Nothing.
happened? I agree. I think that's why I wanted the Ant-Man and the Wasp to be Hank and Janet, because I think Janet had a lot more to do. Like, I feel like Wasp in this film was Janet Van Dyne, which is the comic book's original Wasp. So I think the ending that I had with it being Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania about Hank and Janet would have allowed for this. It also is kind of strange that she got that ending moment after a movie of, like, she only saved the day. Like, she swooped in and grabbed him probability. She saved him at the very end, but, like, we didn't get to spend a lot of time with her. That's why I would have had Hank kind of off on his own C plot and then let them be back and forth, because I did feel like Wasp was missing, much like she was in the first film.
Oh, hello there.
There's a dog.
Oh, my.
Here's the situation in reality, people. If we see an animal in pain, we got to go help it. So there was a dog outside our home, and it looks really frail and sick, and it's clearly alone, and we don't know who it belongs to. So we're going to try to help. Can you close that door and keep the dog in here? This dog is struggling right now. So I'm going to step out from this stream for just like 5 minutes and go hit up some neighbors, because right now neighbors have no idea who this very ill dog belongs to.
Yeah,
Little
it's
one.
shaking.
It's shaking. It's definitely sick.
His nose is doing a
And
thing.
he's thirsty. So we're going to get him some water first.
Yeah,
There he
for
is right
sure.
here. You can
Aw.
see he's scared and
little
alone.
man.
And
hey, buddy, you're
so
okay.
You look like Perito.
the
from
wife and
Puss
I
in
are
Boots.
massive animal lovers.
He like a little Pixar
And
dog.
he's definitely, his
Yeah.
tongue is out, which is a
got
bad
some
sign.
sores
And
and
I'm
stuff.
Yeah,
not
his
going to
face
let
has
this
a thing.
dog
Lick you?
suffer right now.
Yeah.
no, lick you. Yeah,
Don't do
that too, probably.
Uh,
But we're going to get him some water, but he has to stay in here because we got 4 cats. And I
Right.
don't want it to get attacked.
It's a bad.
So we're going to, this stream just got a little more exciting for a couple
is guys
minutes right
Bruce
now.
is live. Bruce is
No, you
live.
gotta looking out for the little guy.
Oh, look
It's a
Looking out
very
for the
real,
little guy.
real moment
You let me
right
pick 'em
now.
up, that's good.
And John,
Yeah, the
let's
wasp.
assume the old positions here.
Sure. Yeah. The wasp. I
I want him to feel comfortable, and I might get a little sick holding him.
I just worry about like whatever's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful.
So, yeah.
Be careful
I'm
and
gonna
loving.
be, I'm gonna be right back.
By all means.
Yeah, the wasp thing is, I don't know. I mean, like, yes, you're taken aback by the fact that she is such a slight character, and I feel like the most cathartic moment that Hope gets is that little moment at the end where they tell each other that they love each other. I thought that was nice. But yeah, in one breath with an ant family, I can understand how in certain installments, certain people are more prominent, certain people are less prominent. That's actually kind of fine with me. I do think the way the movie presents Hope, though, you just feel like scenes were taken out and there's not really like a reconciliation with Janet in a cathartic or I feel like her and Janet reconciling in some kind of meaningful way after all of this and after Hope being the one who was like, Mom, open up. I feel like that would have been good. But her not being like a huge focus isn't that big of a bummer, but it would be nice to see her have an actual sense of agency or like prominence, even though she isn't getting the lion's share of the moments or screen time.
And the Ant-Man and the Wasp being 2 sets of people, I feel like was almost set up. Like I
Sure.
really liked Scott's respect for Hank that they directly called out. I really liked the 2 Janet Hope moments that we got, but like that could have been a lot deeper for me.
Everett Brown in the chat wants to know, and I asked my friend this directly after talking to them last night. Y'all think Kang slept with Janet? I think they definitely got it.
Oh,
on at some point. They
100%.
100% did at some point.
She saw his Nathaniel Richards a few times. I definitely think he conquered, and there were some moments in that quantum realm that were quantum mania between the sheets.
All right.
And I'm very excited for her because I feel like Jonathan Majors knows what he's doing.
I feel like there was a menage a quantum going on.
I also
a
think
little
there's
bit.
a lot of Kangs. Is it even a orgy if they're all the same person? That's the question.
Are you like a little Italian greyhound
He's such
chihuahua?
a fascinating creature.
You are.
I've never seen a dog quite like this. And his
Yes.
face is like a Pixar
I'm
character.
fascinated that you wound up
Oh, and he can
here.
stand
Oh,
on his
what's
hind
up, dude?
legs.
Hey, little dude.
He's like a greyhound mouse.
Oh, buddy, it's okay.
He's also a little blind.
Okay, you're good. You're
I-
good. How old are you,
Very.
Michael Loco? As we dip in and out.
He like
oh, you're
stood on
okay.
his hind legs like a human for a second.
Yeah, he wanted to read the chat.
He's been like trying to hang out.
He's
He is
just-
fascinating.
He's here to talk about
He's getting
Ant-Man.
calmer. Yeah, he's immediately not as shaky. He just keeps like bumping into. I don't
Yeah.
think he can see so good.
He's coming to check us out and stuff like that. He's got some little tumors or cysts and stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely a vibe.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, you want to see Uncle Coy?
Yeah, he definitely smells Spidey Cat.
Michael Loco, thank you for jumping in, for contributing to the chat. Maybe write Kang like Light Yagami from Death Note. I feel like anytime you say maybe write somebody like Light Yagami from Death Note, you're asking for like a huge task of
Maybe make Citizen
literary.
Kang.
Sure, Citizen Kang. Let's do it. But where he actually just runs a newspaper.
Very exciting multiverse.
He's bored with progressive steps, skips to the end, and is full of himself, thinking he will win. Sure, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like I think that's a good call. Like, then though, you need everyone else to be L is the problem. Maybe I don't know.
That
It's
could
a
work
good
for
proposition.
Kang Dynasty if you have it as a singular film. Like I'd love the idea of Kang doing all of that. Like we talked about the setup, and then at the end they have to undermine it. Like that could work for a movie to do, and then follow it up. But yeah,
Yeah, I like Kang as Light Yagami. I like that at least idea. Dan V900, but even Death Note had a bit of
Fine.
trouble keeping that consistent and paying
Update.
that all the way off.
agreed.
6 neighbors later.
Oh, you
you
find
already
you find whose dog it was?
Yeah.
Oh, damn!
It's
all right.
just a really old dog.
But the neighbor, everything's
yeah,
good?
yeah. I asked the neighbor, showed a photo, and the neighbor was like, "Oh, I know who the dog belongs to."
Amazing.
Oh boy.
Greg's an Avenger.
There's a lot of running. Anyway, how's the stream? You guys still on the same question?
No, Dan, we've done a couple questions.
right, good.
And the
You
chat. Do you think that Janet and Kang did it when they were down there in the quantum realm, stranded together?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
1,000%. Why wouldn't she? She has needs. She said so. Who wouldn't do King? It's Jonathan Majors.
Look at that
He's
man.
buff.
Yeah.
Ready for it.
See the way he moves when he's fighting Ant-Man? Of course he
Incredible.
would. He moves so fast, man. It'd be rapid speed. After getting that old-ass Hank Pym, who's like grouchy.
It's true.
Even when he was young, he was just like moody.
Just always grumpy.
You know?
He's a
No wonder
wry
it didn't
guy.
work out
There's a
with Linda.
depth to Jonathan Major's eyes that no one can rival.
I'm catching it. Sorry. I just,
No, I mean, it was really fast. I'm very impressed. You did good work.
yeah.
No, we're
When
on
it
Dan
comes
V.
time to saving animals, always take the chance.
Yeah.
We're on Dan V.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, Dan V900, listen. Everyone, I got a question for you. I just can't really talk about it.
You got this, baby. You're so money.
I didn't buy Cassie calling Hank grandpa where they had no time to get close. It was, if there's anything, there was one. Is everything fine, babe? All right. Hank was dusted out of understand the quantum realm as a child and figuring out Hank wasn't like himself either.
Yeah, Hank
what's
was
that?
dusted.
Hank was
So
dusted.
when
That's
would she
right.
have
Oh,
had
that's
time?
right. I was like,
I think
that's
those
cool.
5
They
years
bonded.
together,
Well, yeah.
I immediately assumed you're right.
That's just true. I
So what did
forgot
they have,
all
a
about
year?
that.
What? You're right.
That is a great point.
When would they have bonded? In that 1 year after she was recast?
I totally forgot.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of weird stuff that happens off screen and then doesn't quite check out with the timeline.
I mean, it's a good thing the villain doesn't have anything to do with time where they can make that useful.
Coy,
I
please.
see what you did.
Please, Coy. I wonder if we get to meet Linda in the next movie. J. Colby P. MODOK. Hey, Coy, that's what you said. MODOK gave me George Lopez and Shark Boy and Lava Girl vibes.
Put respect to that Robert Rodriguez trilogy's name.
yeah.
Is it a trilogy now? I know they made a
3D?
second one.
It's not a
Spy
trilogy.
Kids 3D? Wasn't
It's
it?
just
Shark Boy and Lava
Shark Boy
Girl?
and Lava Girl's its own movie.
Yeah, and then they made the follow-up like
There's
a couple years
4
ago.
Spy Kids movies,
Uh-huh.
1 Shark Boy and Lava
Two.
Girl, 2 Shark Boy and Lava Girl
So
movies.
there's 5.
The first one's with Taylor Lautner.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's 5 films in the Spy Kids saga. A trilogy of Spy Kids and 2 Shark Boy Lava Girl, correct?
But they're not Spy Kids movies. No, there's 4 Spy Kids movies.
Oh,
The
I
four-
thought it was all connected. I was young.
No, they just look the
They
same.
They-
have
okay.
a-
Yeah, I was just young, and I just saw them when I was a child.
They have the Robert Rodriguez green screen family movie aesthetic.
Yeah, so I thought it was one. Okay.
Omni Bray. Went to see Quantumania Thursday. Admit it, you guys liked it better when I wasn't here. Admit it. Did they say it? Is that what they said?
The stream, it's all we talked about. There were a bunch of super chats that
Everyone
were
was
like,
like,
thank
ignored
God.
those. We
you
just-
guys sent a dog in here to get rid of it.
That's right.
We
The
played
plan
the long game.
worked, Coy.
About an hour and a half in, send in the hounds.
Release the hounds. We have a release the hounds button.
We'll get
here.
rid of Greg for 6 to 7 minutes,
and then
it'll
we
all
can
be
go
worth
as
it.
off-road as we want.
We're gonna talk about Major's Bone and Pfeiffer.
Such a frail dog. I feel so bad
That was
for him.
insane. That dog came in looking like the end of Santa's Little Helper's life in Simpsons.
yeah,
I was
it's true.
very worried for Santa's Little Helper. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, thank God for the misses.
Yeah,
See,
she's
as
that's why
much
I
as she
married
makes
her.
a lot of sarcastic cracks in the chat. She's one of the sweetest
She
little
might
people
be
you'll
mean
ever
to me and John, but she is not mean to animals.
meet. No, it's true.
If we were animals,
She'd be nicer to
we
us.
should become animals.
Yeah,
What
ask her to treat you like your animals.
That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. That's all we ask.
I hear the way she talks to those cats, man. I would be so encouraged all the time.
So motivated.
Oh,
The villain of Guardians could help that happen.
Sure.
Went to see Quantumania Thursday and was honestly satisfied. Like how Kang satisfied Janet.
Thank
am I
you,
right?
thank you,
Do you
thank
think this movie sets up Kang as a big bad villain? Well, he's great, but I'm split. I'm a little split too. This is the one time with Face Value, I'm like, I'm gonna wait to see how they handle some Kang. I'm not 100% confident, but you know, the introduction of Kang wasn't he who? It might just depend on what property he's in or what project he's under. Because Thanos, it's like you get like little bits here and there, like Guardians or something, like little Omni teases. It's kind of a bold move to be like he's gonna be the main villain instead of just having to be a tease, you know?
Minus undercutting from certain plot elements, I think it does a good job of establishing his presence.
I think it does a good job of showcasing him as a performer.
I
And I
think
feel-
Jonathan Majors gets Kang, so I think that gives me confidence.
And I feel like Christian Bale doesn't get enough credit for doing a good job as Gore.
He's
when he's-
terrific when he's on screen in that movie.
Yeah.
Every time he wasn't God butchering.
But
very
people
impressive.
it's funny because they don't give Gore the God Butcher a pass. But people give this a big pass because of how great Jonathan Majors is.
Oh, that is interesting because the performances
really?
are both amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that we had more screen time with Majors.
People are like, they
Sure.
ruined Gore the God Butcher. It's because it probably doesn't help that he's called God Butcher.
Yeah, it doesn't. And they butchers
Yeah,
the
they just
gods.
don't show him that
Yeah.
much, but I
I'm
don't
telling
think they
Yeah.
ruined him.
No butchering, no conquering.
Chabil's it's not with a Y. That's okay. What if the reason we have not seen Reed is because 616 Reed is the direct ancestor of He Who Remains, and the Kings are currently hunting him in F4? I don't think they give a shit enough about Reed Richards enough to find him, do they?
Well, and they would have to find him in the 60s, right? And they confirm the movies
No.
in the 60s.
I think this is all. I think there's one thing we've learned by getting into Phase 5 is we have a lot of theories that sound way cooler than what often the movies end up doing themselves. So when they deliver, what they have to reserve that. That's why like that the ending of Endgame is so powerful because you're like, this is everything I ever gonna fucking want. This is
Yeah.
why No Way Home is so powerful because
Yeah.
we're like,
They
"Holy-
actually did the
holy
thing!"
shit, look at it." You know, that's. But a lot of the time, I think we often set ourselves up. It's really not trailers that are the problem.
It's us.
It's the theorizing where we get a little carried away.
Well, yeah, few things inspire such a constant and such a comprehensive
Yeah.
theory cycle. Yeah,
And then
And
when
scrutiny.
and then when they have a couple of movies that end up doing it, then we're like
The bars changed
the
forever.
bars change and we
Hierarchy
expect
of power.
our expectation only increases now.
That's an interesting point. No cap. Kang doesn't have access to the most powerful weapon in this movie, which is time, because the quantum realm does exist outside of space and time. So that's a fair point, actually.
But that's why it's hard to introduce Kang in a way that has him depowered because the movie should, yes, affect Phase 5, but the movie itself should work. Like, the good thing about Phase 1 through 3 is most of the films, 80% of the films worked as their own thing as well as setup. The reason Iron Man 2 doesn't work is it felt too setup. But, like, I feel like they didn't learn that lesson in the direction they needed to, and I feel like that's why they're course correcting, but it should also work as its own thing in addition to being like, wow, it's crazy how connected it was. And my concern now is they're trying to appeal too much to they have to appeal to everyday audiences, but they need to also appeal to the people that had the Endgame experience, the people that know the lore. And I feel like it needs to be both for the people screaming on Reddit and the people that are like, oh, I'm just going to go watch this movie. And I feel like Ant-Man only appealed to the, oh, I'm just going to go watch this movie audience.
That's something I've noticed talking to multiple people is that the people who check into the MCU sometimes have been enjoying things, I think, a lot more lately than people I talk to who are up on everything and really focused on the overarching lore.
And hey, it made $120 million. It's tracking do really well, and I'm really happy for the artists and the creators, but I do think there's a thing where they cared more about this side of focus more before, and that might go back, but it might not.
Yeah, B cinema score. Ganonfish, thoughts on the small characters like Veb, MODOK, and Bill Murray? To the rejects, I appreciate all y'all have done for us comic book nerds. I appreciate John and Coy more than the mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. I haven't even looked at myself today. That's how much I appreciate you guys. I've been looking at you. See that?
I know.
See
I know.
that?
It's weird.
I'm learning.
I think he's looking into our pupils so he can see himself still of them.
I look great in the darkness of your eyes.
Well, look at the lighting.
Does the reflection in my eyes reflect the way I also see you?
Is it how you see me that I
Yeah.
see myself
Yeah,
now?
exactly. I like that.
I
That's
like
cool.
Veb is Holes guy.
Yes.
Yes, I like Veb.
That's the Smolchin, yeah.
He was the one I really he was the most enjoyable. A lot of people thought that was like such a easy plot narrative with the whole like they get to hear people, and I'm like, I don't give a
Loved
shit.
it.
I'm like, fuck it.
No, that's
screw it.
perfect.
We're gonna be in the quantum realm.
That's some
Like,
Doctor Who shit.
look,
That's fine.
I am just. I would have been more bothered if everyone speaking English. That would have.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
would have been like, why is everyone speaking English
Yeah.
down here?
Great.
That's the thing in Star Wars that happens.
Shouts out to Chidi from The Good Place, too. I thought he did a good job.
But Bill Murray, it's interesting that they would have Bill Murray. Like, the thing that I found interesting is that he was kind of funny at first, but I thought Bill Murray overall did a good job in that scene.
He
Like
showed up.
when he transitions, yeah, he doesn't look like he's laughing at the material. It looks like he took it seriously, and he made the situation feel more realized, in my opinion. Like he shows up charming, that aristocrat personality.
Yeah.
And then when he takes that switch where he's clearly bothered by Janet and he had to succumb to Kang and give into this, I bought it. I thought he did a good job. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't leave an impression at the same time, though. That's the weird part because no one's talking about it, and like no one talks about it.
Yeah.
How late did it take for Bill Murray to get brought up in the screen? Like,
Yeah.
no one really talks about it, and I think it's cool that they had Russell Crowe, a very serious actor, show up to do something funny. And then they had Bill Murray show up to do something serious.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like
thought-
that. That's a good point.
I thought everybody in the cast did a good job, no matter how slight. Like Jatora or whatever the warrior woman is. Like she is written so rote, but I liked her presence. The guy who could read minds, I thought he did a great job. I forget the actor's name. William Jackson Harper. I thought he did a great
I
job.
thought they were gonna make that woman Ravonna for a second. And
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so
was-
too. Like a different version of her.
Yeah.
I thought, wouldn't that be more interesting? Kennedy. I
Shouldn't
bet
have given you that comic, Greg. It ruined your
I
expectations.
know it did. I shouldn't read source material. But
Don't read comics.
don't read comics. Lesson from the real readers.
That's what I'm about.
I bet at the end of the day, this movie makes more than Thor: Love and Thunder worldwide. I'd expect it to.
I think it'll
It's
be more
the s-
agreeable.
It's the start of Phase 5, and I don't know.
I think
I
it makes
would-
more than Thor and less than Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange made a lot of money.
I find cinema scores more reliable on audience reception than Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
Both audience and critic. For me,
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I find a cinema score more reliable of how an audience generally feels.
because I
And
feel
I
like
feel
you
like
can
people don't-
bombard.
People don't take to Cinema Score to bomb things as much. I don't think.
Yeah, you don't get
Yeah.
like questioned and then like have this crazy. Whereas I feel like Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like people don't understand what Rotten Tomatoes is, and therefore they abuse it in both directions.
Well, they
critics
need
and
to
audience.
understand that what Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes is the critics. It's a council, it's a committee where everyone gets together and they all vote unanimously of how we all feel about it before they put out a percentage.
And they yell at
And
Kang.
that's why people say don't listen to critics because it's a hive mind
Right.
essentially where everyone's in
It's an
agreement. They're
average.
not actual real fans. They're just people who they are a jury of
it's the
people.
mid-credit scene.
Yeah,
It's
it
that
is the
room-
council
that's
of
actually-
critics
yeah, it's
is
council of critics.
how you might
and
want
they
to
just
call
start
it.
screaming.
Yeah, yeah,
that's how
and then
they
they vote.
score.
It's
It's
like
actually
the
an audio
prequels
thing.
to Star Wars.
How loud they yell is where
yeah.
the score comes from.
That's
I
why
mean-
when in doubt, just go. Don't listen to critics because apparently they're not real people.
Not real people.
Yeah.
They've never been human.
There's a lot problematic about that. Yeah.
I think it's a weird fail-safe to say that.
Well, it's like every written review gets boiled down to a number, and then those numbers all get averaged out, and that becomes the
Right.
score. And I
It's
feel
a
like
pass-fail that is colorized. It's literally like colorizing a historic photo. You've got a black and white photo that you put color
Yeah.
over it. Of course, it's not going to be the actual quantifiable image. Just like looking at a 70%, that doesn't mean 70%. It means 70% out of
Yeah.
blank number of critics passed or failed it. If 100% of people gave it a 2.5, it would fail. But if 100% of people gave it a 3, it would be 100%. That's not this.
Yeah.
Like,
and you can look through movies that have a high percentage, but see that all the capsules are like, it's okay. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's a 3 out of 5, which is technically fresh.
My
so,
favorite part
you
of the
know.
audience score side on Rotten Tomatoes is when people are like, "Don't listen to critics." Here's my whole
I am
review.
gonna critique this now.
you understand you are.
If you've watched a bunch of
Criticize.
movies and are about to give an opinion, congratulations, you've met all the
You've-
requirements for
And
criticism.
anyone who does YouTube videos, and I would gladly say this to Christian Harloff's face. I hope you're watching, buddy. Anyone who says
2 hours in.
that they don't, that they're like, I'm not a critic. But I'm like, but you review movies regularly and they're monetized videos and you gain an audience from it. So you might not call yourself a critic, but you fall under the umbrella. And same thing with us. I don't like the word influencer. I still fall under that umbrella. All right. I know it's one of my categories, even though I don't like to identify as that. So yeah, I think there's a lot more of these people who are like, I think if you're on YouTube, especially, you're like, don't listen to critics. I'm like, but you're a critic. You're technically part of that realm. You're
Yeah.
technically part of it.
Just-
It doesn't make sense to say that.
Find the critics that you like and understand when people are approaching something from a filmmaking cinema perspective versus a lore focused lore
What point are
perspective.
we at in the streams? Because I got to clip out that part about Christian Harloff.
Send it to him.
I don't
Gotta
want
send it
to.
to
Well, no, I got to delete it. I don't want. I gotta make sure he doesn't get offended.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys doing a show tomorrow.
Sure,
They'll find
Ah,
out.
shit, that's
They'll
right.
find you.
Damn it.
Oh, did I just plug for you?
I hope he doesn't bring it up on stage.
Oh, he's going to bring it up on stage. It's happening.
And our
Tomorrow,
next
Flappers.
topic today.
Deviant Production. Do you guys remember? Wait. Didn't shout someone out. Someone with an Asian name. Gave us a shout out. Thank you for the heart. Means a lot.
That's a cool symbol, whatever their name is.
Deviant
Pretty.
Production. Thank you. Do you remember Janet's power she got from spending so much time in the quantum realm? Oh my God! I should have rewatched Quantumania and the Wasp. She had powers. Didn't she have some powers?
There's like a residual.
I've only seen it once.
There's not a lot of continuity from Man
You're
and the Wasp
so
to here.
right.
Yeah,
because there's the
damn.
whole quantum tunnel thing and the post credits and all that stuff. And
I totally forgot about that.
That's a great
That's
point.
a really great point. I didn't put that together.
Good thing I didn't rewatch that movie. I might have liked it less.
that's what I was coming in with, is having revisited the Ant-Man movies, and then
And then it took a
Damn.
third time, then you found your love for it.
in a way,
J. Golby P. People pushing the whole MCU declining in quality are starting to get annoying. I want them to improve, but that's not to say we haven't put out any great stuff. Plus, something like act like the Infinity Saga was consistent.
agree.
I agree. I mean, I loved Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that was the last movie.
Yeah.
So I really loved it. No, and I think there's some of my favorite hits of the MCU in total had Phase 4 in them. But the thing is, some of the most, like, the ones that did not really leave an impression where I just kind of stopped thinking about it really quick, a lot of that was Phase 4, too.
I think
That
the
is the sad
highest
part.
highs were in earlier phases, but the lowest lows were in this phase more consistently, so it overall feels more negative.
Yeah, and they have an interesting, and Phase 4 is the first one which shows, so the journey with it is interesting because they could have something like Hawkeye where I was like, first episode fine, but then it started to get really good and intriguing, and then I really thought they dropped the ball
Yeah.
in the final episode, like really did. And that's the impression, that's the feeling I'm left with, is how they dropped the ball.
It's that
And
the rant when you start and end something. It's like what we joked
Yeah.
about earlier with debate. Like that is also how I feel about
Yeah.
like Moon Knight. I loved Moon Knight until I didn't,
yeah,
and then I liked it, but I don't think about it a lot.
yeah, exactly. And you know, let's not forget, man, WandaVision was the start of this.
Oh,
And
God, it was so
WandaVision was
good.
the first MCU property, I think, where everywhere I went, we were all just talking about WandaVision.
Right.
You know, like what's
Everyone.
going to happen next.
Whether you liked Marvel or not,
It was
you were
event
watching,
TV.
Yeah.
talking about one.
And you were at Chipotle, and the person
WandaVision.
making you that burrito bowl
What do you
was
think's gonna
like,
happen this
do you
week?
think mutants are coming? You know?
White or brown rice,
Yeah.
Mephisto. What do you think?
It's
Is Mephisto?
It's just growing pains and the fact that we're like 30 odd movies into this. Like I feel
Yeah.
like they just have been struggling lately to find the synthesis of their sweet spot again. Like I feel like you can see all the faculties that make an MCU what it is in most of these properties, and it's just the levels are skewed more jaggedly right now to me.
I also
So-
think we want more from them because we've seen what they can accomplish, and that's not. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily fair because it's new teams, new expectations, new writers. We look at this giant 30-film saga as one thing, which it is, but it's also not. Their individual pieces make up that puzzle, so it's really hard to even quantify. But I also want that bar to be met, and therefore I'm having a hard time with Ant-Man not being a hard swallow.
And comic books are up and down too.
Very much.
So.
Hamza Omar,
We gotcha.
love the channel, especially Koi. Jesus, what does that say about my ego?
Real
Also,
Koi Jex.
Quick shouts out to GOM Films in the chat too.
Hey, George, what's going on, buddy? He has a hilarious Ben Affleck AI video. Oh my God, it's so funny. Go watch it, guys. The scene at the Possibility Realm, it was established the other Ant-Man weren't real. So how did they physically help him?
They
I-
were real.
That's a good question.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was cool.
It's
That's
the
how I defend it.
theoretical. I think, yeah, it's
I
that.
thought they were real. Like they were the concept of what alternate reality he could do. Like if I do this versus this, that would be another me. But that would be tangible in that realm.
Yeah, it's like every reaction becomes. It's like distilling the multiverse down into one
Yes.
room where every possibility just comes out. And so, like, in that, again, space between space and time, you can mumbo jumbo it in a way where I wasn't too distracted. I was more distracted, and I enjoyed it, but I was more distracted by, like, why is there only one Scott who is not in Ant-Man garb?
I like.
Right.
I like Baskin Robbins guy, love it, but also why is he the only one?
I think they say we can't define what a good Marvel film is.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Well, I think a good Marvel film is when it has a good 3-act structure and there's a good character
A
journey.
good Marvel film is
and
just
then
a
there's
good film.
a little bit of setup for the future phases, sure. But a good Marvel film, like John just said, is just a good film. It's pretty plain and simple. Just
I'll take a good
have,
film over big
you know,
interconnectivity any day.
set up, payoff,
Plot
character
that
arc,
stays
themes.
consistent.
actual plot.
Exploring
Acting.
themes.
You know,
I-
basic shit.
A movie that's good that has Marvel characters in it is a good Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to make something fun. The first two Ant-Man movies are a great example, and I get that the first two Ant-Mans and like the Avengers or Infinity War and Endgame, those are great examples of how you can do either very serious or very light and still flesh them out. You know.
True.
Yeah, I think we know what we like.
Alex, our biggest super chat of the day. All the buttons.
Hey,
buddy.
Alex.
Kang should be the only person capable of using his own technology. Cassie Lang manipulated his technology. Plot hole, fair enough. I thought Cassie was way too good at everything in this. Her only struggle was she has to get the jump tap thing down. That's the only struggle she has.
I feel like they nerfed her arcs and the opportunity for
Yeah.
conflict.
I was very vexed when I was watching the movie and went, "Oh, so this is why they didn't advertise Strange World, that Jake Gyllenhaal movie, because they made it an Ant-Man movie."
Yeah.
And then I was also vexed, and I was like, "Oh, this is why Andor is okay, because the third act is they used Andor sets."
Yeah.
Like this was literally like what Cassie did. They just did an Andor and Strange World, and I was like, "I've seen these." So
Well,
like
I
from-
was I was bothered when she took over Kang's hologram, not hologram, the projection of himself.
Yeah, the transmission.
Yeah, that bothered me.
his password is Renslayer.
because it's just
Just typed in Renslayer.
it's just like how what.
She just shoved him out of the way.
Like, I mean, it just happens off screen, and it just because I think you went to the bathroom briefly the first time.
I did.
And then you came back. You were so quick. You came back, and she was on the screen, and I was like, yeah, she took over the thing he was talking to.
Gentora
because she's good at
does
everything.
I even asked how'd that happen, and Greg went, "Oh."
Like, it happened off screen. I don't know.
I think they pass it off as Gentora is the one who actually manipulates the machine, and then she's like, "Cassie, say something. You know, I got to fight these dudes."
Yeah.
But even so, they never really show you.
That's not what I really took it as. I thought Cassie did it so that way Gentora could go and make the speech, but Gentora was like, "No, you make the speech." Because why would Cassie be fighting off goons and guards?
No, she doesn't. I'm just saying. I think
Gentora got in the system.
Gentora hacked the thing and is like, "I got to go fight these dudes now. You need to talk to them." You know, like I'm not going to talk to them. You know.
Either way.
Either way, it still does not address how it was possible, what the technology is, why from here remotely to where Kang is it still worked, and why he wouldn't just
Yeah.
be able to usurp that.
Yeah, why
patch.
couldn't he take it
that-
back over?
yeah,
It's his
like,
technology.
That's more, yeah. That is more like what you see on like amusement park rides.
Also,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's I mean, to go immediately back to dude saying we don't know a good Marvel film, every movie has plot holes, every movie has continuity issues, every movie has things that don't always line up. Like movies are so many moving parts, but stuff like this where it impacts like this many things, that's what makes
Yes.
it lesser. Like it's
There's no one good kind of Marvel movie because they're all blending genres and trying to do slightly different things. So again, a good Marvel movie is just a good version of whatever they're attempting to do.
But if your technologically based villain has a plot hole to this scale, it does get noticed.
Yeah.
If Ant-Man 1 is a good heist comedy, then that's a good Marvel movie because it's doing its thing right. You know?
Raj, thank you for such a generous super chat. Roger Reyes. Everyone expects so much in these movies nowadays. Nobody knows what Marvel has planned, but the writing needs improvement. This is only the beginning. Yeah, that's the main thing that I think. Ebony Leopard, thank you for being here in the stream. That's what I'm going to say. Everything we said is nitpicky, not valid criticism whatsoever.
Is it a broad spectrum problem with a technologically based villain? Pretty broad and not nitpicky?
The less you're enjoying something, the more you will nitpick. But I feel like we have addressed some reasonable ideas here.
I think nitpicks stand out more when you already have bigger problems. When
When
that's
something's
time to have-
already not working, then everything
just becomes a big
it's-
pile.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
snowball. So so critics could do a better job of factoring out what doesn't really matter to the criticism.
But I mean, yeah, I think that is the main thing is that you would need. Yeah. Oh my God, we got to show this chat.
I think it's very funny. Just whenever grammar's that bad, it makes me laugh. Because I don't use grammar well, but that's just fun.
Nobody knows what Marvel has planned. Yeah, that is the thing is that we don't really know what Marvel has planned, and I don't really care about that. I do care that their standalone installments are actually good, like great. Like that's what matters most to keep. You can't just keep tuning in things that are just fine.
Sorry, Ebony Leopard. We only get one comment at a time. So
Also,
what?
like
What's happening?
he said all we pointed out was that he said nitpicky, but that's all we saw was him saying nitpicky. Anyway, everything can't be a trailer for the next thing, and like
Yeah.
Iron Man,
I mean,
exceptional.
it can have like a little thing, but it shouldn't be the main thing.
Like Iron Man was great without anything else.
Yeah.
And Endgame, Winter Soldier is incredible without ever having seen First Avenger
Yeah.
or Civil War. That is the standard
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Like No Way Home is great even if you've never. I brought someone to the premiere that had never seen a Tobey or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film, which
Yeah.
I didn't think was possible. But she loved it, only knowing 2 Tom
True.
Holland movies. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a movie that has a lot of silly circumstances that tie it together, but it prioritizes the right aspects to make it, as impactful as it is.
So I think
I
we
would
expect-
argue that as the nuts and bolts of No Way Home are very, flying by the seat of
think-
your pants. But
I think when you like something and then people don't like, if you like something and then when you're listening to someone who doesn't like something, saying someone's being nitpicky instead of acknowledging everything that movies did say is kind of a
This is-
weak excuse.
This has been an hours long
This is like hours of stuff. Yeah, Johnny. Each following movies should have variants. Each following movie should have hero variants. I don't know if each following movies.
It depends.
Ebony Leopard, I'm going to stop you right there. You see what you're doing, buddy? You're nitpicking one thing we said. You're being nitpicky over one thing. So
and the point of a stream like this is to get granular.
What you're saying about nitpicking, I'm like,
That's not the
you are-
reason the movie
you
doesn't
are
work.
literally zeroing in on 1 out of 100 things we said. So
For 2
your whole
hours.
thing is completely invalid now. Josh. Each following movie should have hero variants. You just set yourself up to be
We should all
called
be
out on
having
that.
fun. This should
No.
just be fun.
No,
You see what
no
happens when you
fun
read the chat?
anymore.
You see what happens when you read the chat?
No
I like how
fun
we've
anymore.
I like the first
No.
act was Koi
It's
getting
done.
back to chat. The second
done.
act was
I
you
saved
fighting
a dog.
Olivia. And then
I don't
Greg
wanna
came
deal
back
with
from
this.
saving a dog, and now he's the one.
I don't want to deal with this today.
Uh,
It's been a long week. This guy's been too nice. Each following movie should have hero variants. Fine, let it happen. Everything's great.
so actually, I don't understand this question. Is he saying that
It's
like,
not a question. It's a statement of a request that he wants for the future of Marvel.
every
that there should be hero
movie,
variants in every one of them.
Yeah.
so every villain is a hero?
Every one of them.
No. Just there should be multiversal variants of every hero moving forward in
I
each
think
installment.
What if
comprehensively.
season 2 might be that? Sure. I
Mike,
feel like.
That'd be cool.
2021. Thank you for the super chat. How quickly do you guys think Marvel can course correct? I don't know. Maybe quicker. Clearly, they're capable of greatness. Look at the Infinity Saga. I know it was amazing. I keep hearing of these delays, but if writers aren't good, does more time help? I mean, I think they hire good writers, but usually you do need more time to flesh stuff out. Sometimes the greatest screenplays take years to flesh out.
I have come to a place where I am very ginger about how hard I rest on my complaints, not with scripts, but with the writers of the scripts. It's like this guy, Jeff Loveness, who wrote this. Yeah, I'm like, this to me doesn't reflect great on your script writing for something like this. However, I am aware that with this machine, I have seen writers I trust turn in something that feels a lot more generic than I thought it should, knowing their other work. So I feel like the machine is so big that I think sometimes it will slight the writer.
True.
And so, yeah, I tend to keep that criticism kind of soft.
I
All right,
generally
When
think
assigning
time-
the blame.
I do need to mention something really quick because of the time right now, and I would like to wrap us up by 2:30.
Or closing
Oh yeah,
down the
rest of the
super
sentence.
chats.
I'm going to close down the super. We're going to read the we will go through the rest of the super chats, and we got some Streamlabs too that I want to make sure we get to. But yeah, I would like to end by a certain time today because I do's got a little bit more other
Ebony,
things to edit today.
I'm going to wave the white bag. We haven't seen everything you have had to say. This is a big old conversation. It's all love, baby. It's all love. Let's just bury that hatchet.
Do we just
I-
block him?
I will say time.
I believe in censorship.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I
We're
think-
gonna talk about nitpicky shit. Like people are gonna. It's fine. It's
I
all
think,
fine.
I think we're too focused on him
all
now,
fine.
and now we need to just move on and accept
What's the next?
That
What's the
Ebony's
next
in,
question?
Ebony's in here.
As I go to pee, I want to acknowledge that each of us has a different threshold. Where I love that psychologically, I would assume that I'd get mad first, then calm down, and that Greg would build to a boil, and that John would have high lows, and that's
No.
exactly what happened in the last 2 hours. I
No,
think it's very funny.
I-
Our personalities are exactly this live stream.
I haven't.
He saved a dog. He saved a dog. He saved a dog. He saved.
I'm completely
That is a necessary part of any screenplay. Now you're a likable character.
completely cool. Anyway. Oh shit. Just John and I.
Oh man, now what?
Just John and I.
Now it's like every day.
What do we do?
Ha ha ha! Shout out awkward jokes.
Do you have a Linda in your life, John?
Do I have a Linda in my life? She ain't you, baby.
Sure. Nicely done.
Sure, yeah.
Nicely done.
That's how that goes.
Oh my God! We got to get to that Koi question, so he's not here to defend himself.
Jenny L, I definitely want to see
And any
these super
Koi
advanced
complaints,
ants.
get them in right now, so
I-
that way
yeah.
he can't defend himself.
Koi-
It'll be amazing.
Coin plaints, new segment. Coin plaints.
Ash Chase, thanks for being here. Kang should have killed someone or showed Scott dying or other Avengers to show how big a threat Kang really is.
All he had to do was break Cassie's arm.
Or break Cassie's arm, or I mean, it would have been cool if he killed off Ant-Man. I think it would have worked, and then it would have given that actually could have given him an arc because he would have sacrificed, like, see, Cassie, and that's what the last word should have
And
been.
now that's gonna
See, Cassie, I'm gonna die for you.
I told you so, Cassie. I do care.
He does it out of bitterness and trying to prove a point.
Take my bitter blame with you and make that your core wound for the rest of this
Yeah.
franchise.
Your fault. I'm dead now, Cassie.
Yeah.
Bye. Like art. Paul M. Aw, damn it. I was trying to get some Koi complaints in
Shit.
here.
Coin plaints. Coin
Koi.
plaints. Get your coin plaints.
John, do you need to get a standing break in? Get a standing break in. Your crotch will be blocked by the super chats. Get a standing break in.
Look at my crutch.
It's funny. My legs are actually 12% bigger to my body ratio than the rest of me. I just got a DEXA scan done, so all my proportions are weird because I like the gym too much and I'm 5'9". But my arms just look big in the shirt, which I appreciate.
It's okay.
That's right. He's got small arms in real life. Paul M. Give the Peyton Reed discussion. Would you be more excited for a Peyton Reed Star Wars or Star Trek movie, or neither? Seems like he wants to do sci-fi. I really enjoyed his episode of The Mandalorian season 2. It's the one where they land.
That's why they're wet.
That's a coin plaint.
It's the one where they land in the ice place, and there's like spider bugs thingy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was his.
Yeah,
The thing
and,
one.
I thought he did a great job there and really captured the horror and still that like ethereal wonder as well. So I would like to see him do a Star Wars movie or just direct another episode of The Mandalorian. It doesn't matter what. I just scratch myself with my middle finger.
I got to think about this that I love, and I haven't talked about it all anywhere yet. I think Peyton Reed really wanted to make a Quantum Realm / Phantom Zone Fantastic Four movie. And when they hired John Watts to make Fantastic Four, Kevin Feige was like, what if we let the third Ant-Man movie be your
Right.
Fantastic Four movie? And a big complaint I had was this felt like if the Fantastic Four was fighting Kang in this universe, it would have worked for the physics of their decisions more. But
True.
this became his Fantastic Four.
I
Yeah.
don't think this movie speaks incredibly directly to Peyton Reed's abilities and his voice as a director, especially as compared to the previous two Ant-Man movies. But I would be interested to see him do. I would sooner say Star Wars than Star Trek, but really, with those movies, it could be anybody's guess.
I'd say
SH
Star Trek more than Star Wars myself.
Leaf. Hi, Koi. Can you explain the time in Quantum Realm? The flow of time is the same. It's just at which point of the time of the outside world you come out.
So conceptually, time being relative, the bigger you get from your source, kind of like Interstellar, the further you are from.
Do you need a paper to?
Yeah,
draw
do you need to
wormhole?
put
I
the
didn't
pen-
know wormhole.
Pencil, okay.
Actually, just watch the scene
Put
from
the
Thor:
pen-
Love and Thunder. But take a book. But like, so the further you are from your sense of time, the greater disparate distance. So arguably, if they go deeper than they've ever been, because there's a single line of dialogue Michelle Pfeiffer says that you didn't look deep enough to see the living creatures, right? You had to look further, and that's kind of what they write over all the plot holes of the things we've described with
Escape.
like those tie-ins. So it theoretically should be more time because they're further through that reality. But since it's quantum and it's out of time and space, which is another line of dialogue they gave, conceptually it would be parallel to time. If you're out of time and space, the distance from your original reality shouldn't be affected, but they also implied that it was further. So technically, they should have been further from their time. More time should have passed, but they kind of allowed that to not have time pass because they were out of time.
It seems like they let time pass for the ant family in real time, and the ants go to the place where time dilation happens.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
So they
I like the senses that everyone's saying.
Subatomic there.
Yeah. Oh my God. You guys are so smart. Geniuses over here. You guys should teach a science class. Mike K. What up, Reject Nation? Thank you. Just got back from round 2 of the movie. Loved it just as much as the first time.
Hell yeah.
Wait till you watch it a third time. My question is about Loki season 2. How much will we see Jonathan Majors? He's going to be there the whole time.
It does seem like he will be a through line more so than before.
Well, they're going to be on the search for him. They're going to be hunting for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect them to completely ditch the episodic nature of the show and not do unrelated or things kind of tangentially related in different times and places. But I feel like, yeah, Kang will be a much more, it will be a serial through line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a very big part of it. And then they kill him off. And then they got a new threat to deal with. And then that's when they see Sylvie go to McDonald's or whatever that photo was.
I am so fascinated by the McDonald's of it all. How
There will
does
be a
McDonald's
there will
come
be a
into play?
Sylvie and Loki meal. The Cardi B and
Yeah.
Offset
I mean,
meals
nice.
sound like hotcakes.
I will get a Happy Meal if there's Loki toys.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, what if Kang is actually working with some probabilities?
Oh, that's
cool.
fun. I like that.
Ooh, and he's like solving the problem by consulting his probabilities.
I like that a lot.
That's actually cool. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
I watch a whole movie out of that. That's what I want out of Marvel. Raccoon Shampoo. Thanks for being here, buddy. Good to see you. Broccoli Guy.
We all love
Broccoli
him.
guy.
Broccoli guy.
Hilarious. Appreciate the super chat. D. Murdoch. Boy, you shill. You seem more positive on Harlock show.
I actually really wanted to address this. There was a ton of people in the chat. I think that all movies should be seen and celebrated if they're even half good. So all my non-spoilers were positive because I wanted fuckers to go see the movie.
Bye,
so,
Stephanie.
like, yeah, I was more positive in my non-spoiler review. And then the spoiler review I did with Harloff is going to be a little bit more negative because I want people to support Marvel. I want people to go see the first 2 acts of this. I think it's worth seeing. But if I came out the gate as negative as I feel about the film, people wouldn't get to experience those first 2 acts. Like, I
And form their own
genuinely,
opinion.
and yeah, literally, I don't want to be a critic that I don't like people blindly following anyone, and I do feel like we live in an age where people go like, well, if Coy doesn't like it, then it's not worth seeing because I'm be positive about everything. So I leaned very positive because I didn't want the like, well, this is the first time he's negative. It's got to be really bad because of how people like black and white things. The world is grayscale, so I was like, I'll lean into my positive side of the grayscale in the non-spoiler. I'll lean more aggressively. I've been almost only negative about this film. I still gave it like a 6.4. I've talked about very few of my positives because that's in my non-spoiler. I think
love
people
your
need to see
Pitchfork
nuance.
media rating.
That's where I'm at.
6.4259.
I know exactly where it is.
Also, I love Jimmy Freckles' comment.
Yeah.
Be insulted.
I've had
great.
too many experiences where Coy recommends something, and then I watch it. I'm like, that sucked. Why'd I listen to him? Then I listen to his spoiler talk, and I'm like, oh, he actually.
That's how he feels.
That's why I
I'm like,
don't
So that's
recommend
the path.
Also, most of my flaws were with the third act, so inherently they're spoilers.
Oh,
like that's an issue as
Bye,
well.
Mama Jandro.
Hi, Mom.
We
Thanks
love
for
you.
joining
Yeah.
us.
I said it like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, I missed
Liam
it.
Murphy, Loki season 2 will be huge in determining Kang's threat. Oh yeah, I wanted Hank Pym to go after him just because he banged Janet. You know it happened.
He just becomes a jealous, abusive husband.
She's gonna do it with Bill Murray. Why wouldn't she do it
With
Jonathan
Majors.
Majors?
Oh,
who
sure.
legit saved her life. Come on now, come on.
You've seen those pictures, and like what the Ebony magazine shoot was incredible. He's got that
Yeah.
the bodybuilder movie coming out.
That was the original.
Magazine
of-
Dreams.
God damn,
That's a-
magazine dreams. He looks incredible in that man. Like good God
That
damn.
should have been his suit. That should be one of the
Whew.
Kang variants. The
I-
it is.
I
Kamer
support that.
MJ.
He's the only one who's not concerned with anything about time or conquering.
So true.
He just
Flexing.
wants the fountain of youth so that he can keep on doing magazine covers.
Amen to that, sister. I laughed at this film more than I did in Thor 3. I even loved the post-credit scene. Did anyone think like Hank was going to die? I rated 8.5 out of 10. Once I realized that Michael Douglas was just kind of casually walking through a green screen through most of this movie, I'm like, I don't think he's going to die. And then
No.
I feel like him saying he would only return if he does die in the next one is usually an indicator that an actor was indeed over the experience while they were making the film.
Oh, 100%.
So, and it
100%.
totally, and I didn't know that until after I watched the
Yeah.
movie and have already well put out my opinion. And I was like, yeah, no, it shows on screen, dude. Like, you clearly did not want to do this movie.
Hank be chillin', and it's not consistent with the previous one. Although
Yeah.
I do personally, in isolation, enjoy chillin' swashbuckler Hank, who just shows up in
Yes.
his robes, and he's just like, I like ants.
I like ants.
I'm
Laissez-faire
it's
ant
silly.
Hank.
I'm for the silliness, but yeah, it doesn't work in tandem as well.
Man, comic fan, have you ever been asked to do the trailer movie breakdowns for new Rockstars, Koi? Do it. Tell Eric Voss to go to hell.
Yeah, I think Eric Voss, like, I'm really good at certain things, and Eric Voss is really good at certain things, and I think he's, like, so good at breakdowns and stuff. I watch trailers, I think, differently, and I think if they want me to, I could, like, look at a thing that way, but I inherently don't go, like, that visual. Like, I don't like, I feel like Eric is, like, this incredible Terminator of, like, I see all, and, like, he ascertains and grabs things, and when I watch a trailer, I go, like, theme and comic reference, and he's like able to scan like MODOK. So I've never thought of a trailer the way I think he does. I don't know his brain, but like I've not done them, but I think I would. Eric's the best at them.
I think he can do those other things too. I think it'd be interesting if you just wrote a letter to new Rockstars and then put it on Twitter and asked for him to be fired.
Oh,
So you can replace him.
I see.
Get him canceled.
Can someone
Should
clip
I
this?
mail this letter? Like, is it a handwritten letter?
I need someone to clip this out.
Oh, yeah.
And send it to Eric.
After me
and
praising
I hope he
Eric.
takes it serious
Eric.
instead of realizing
That
I'm
I've been-
just making
We
a
don't joke
super
here.
serious
No,
comment.
me and Eric movie fighting over a trailer. Trailer
Discussing Ant-Man is a serious endeavor. All right.
Raccoon Shampoo. I think this movie was very cool. Not sure it's very good, though, if that makes sense. I think the scene with Kang and Ant-Man meeting has remarkable tension. I think it's very palpable tension in that scene. And I think the segue from the flash, I think it's a beautiful transition from the flashbacks to this, where you're like, okay, this is the past. And then they transition to the present with Kang. And he is this presence. I thought was that's like a great, I like that whole 30 minutes with the probability run, but I think there's that solid like 20 minutes right there is really, really good.
Yeah, and I think the movie feels. Actually, this is exactly what I was saying with my non-spoiler review.
Yeah.
I think it's worth experiencing. There's definitely a reason to see this movie. It's definitely enjoyable. So yeah, the movie is very cool. Like, and I was overwhelmed by a lot of the visuals, and I loved the freedom fighters when they were getting to do the stuff that didn't get
Sure.
undermined. So I think it's all worth seeing. It is cool, and good is a different thing.
Yeah, there's just things that could be richer about it and more, from a cinema filmmaking scripting perspective, it could be of a greater caliber or quality. But yeah, there's definitely fun and coolness there.
No need an pick, John. S.H. Alif, what's your theory for Loki Season 2? Thank you for the super chat. What's your theory? You got to have a theory, right?
It'll get picked up for season 3.
You got to have one theory. Koi, give us one theory.
One theory is that I think we get introduced to a bunch of Kang variants in much the way we met a lot of Loki variants, but in a more ominous, scary way than comedic.
You know what I would love? If they have like a big finale showdown with like Victor Timely, and then out of nowhere, a bunch of ants show.
Just make that the Phase 5 thing. It's just always Act 3 out of nowhere, bunch of
Hank
ants.
Finn walking through like, I'm always following you, King.
No, it's Loki in a Western coat. And he goes, I like ants.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
We're gonna it's always a bunch of ants.
My theory for Loki season 2 is that there will be a jet ski and that Ki Kwan is going to be a
definitely.
delight. I just want Ki Kwan. That's all I care about.
Kwan jet ski salesman.
I like Key Quant. I saw Fast and
Key
Furious Tokyo
Quantumania.
Drift.
Was it good? Is he in it?
No. I thought of like, I have to see the Goonies, and then I was like, but I did just see Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Like they're the same thing.
Have you not seen the Goonies?
No, let's not open that door right now. Brady,
That's almost Superman bad.
I've lost all excitement and interest in the MCU. DC's future seems more exciting. John, let me pose this question. Can I ask you a question, John? Are you more excited for the future of DC or the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Which one would you say you're currently more excited for? I want a straightforward answer, John.
think-
straightforward.
DC has more to prove and is in.
triggering.
DC has more to prove, so the risk is higher and the reward could be more gratifying. Because Marvel right now, to me, is like everything is still pretty good, like pretty all right, and like nothing's been terrible. So you know, it's mostly just about seeing if they can bring it back up to great. And yeah, DC just has like a bunch to prove. So
Coy, quick answer. Which one?
Right now, I think the level of comic-y geekiness, like the actual nerdcore stuff that's coming out of DC, is pretty exciting. And I also feel like I'm more excited to deal with a new corner of fandom in an in-depth way. Like I feel like I say anything negative about Marvel, even to compare, there's an inherent like what? Whereas DC, I'm like I haven't talked about it a lot because it's a violence in that fandom that I think is going to ebb and flow and change. So I'm really excited to show and share my love for DC. So it's personal. This is selfish, but there's a lot of characters that I love that I haven't really gotten to talk about and share. So I'm excited for DC just because it's a corner of my heart I haven't gotten to make public.
Oh man,
nice.
Everyone in the chat.
Mateo Diavino
has earned that show.
Sure,
100%.
You better be playing the Lonely Island song right now.
Hey guys, Dan V900's back at it. He says,
yes.
for some positivity, I love your reactions to the Takamu, even though I don't love those films. I know you'd have to go back, but Justice League: The New Frontier and from 2008 and Wonder Woman from 2009 are fantastic. Well, a big part of their weird journey is usually me going in there going, I think this is the one.
Yeah.
Gotta do next.
Yeah.
So let me do some research.
And
I'll let you know.
and just again, endless.
Lately, the past two, I'm like, not been doing as great. So I'm like, okay, we not need to mix this up a little bit because the feedback's amazing. So.
Yeah, very hype.
But I had a feeling like Throne of Atlantis might not be as big of a clicker with this one.
Thank you again though for pairing us up for that. Though.
It's been
John,
a blast.
Absolutely wonderful.
There's
to shoot.
no need to thank me. It was all Ebony's idea.
Don't nitpick my compliment.
Don't nitpick our love.
Jake Colby P.
Back again.
I have a curl. I'm still excited for the future of the MCU. Right now, hype for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think it's going to be amazing. My expectations cannot be met because they're so high. James Gunn knows how to balance the humor with the emotion. People who are like, it's too sci-fi. Yeah, I think we know someone who's been saying this. Like, I think it might be too sci-fi for people. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. I'm like,
I don't agree.
I feel like Guardians is way more sci-fi than this.
Guardians is behaving more weirdly
their
than Quantumania is
characters
behaving.
are not as a talking raccoon in a tree. I feel like those are the main characters.
Yeah, I think the strength of Guardians shows how impossibly weird you can go and still have heart. I think a lot of the people saying we're nitpicking, I can just point at Guardians and go, but look what they did.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows that that's our bar.
Yeah.
I think there are more weird images in Quantumania than the movie is actually weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, Guardians 2 is better than the first. Fight me. I will not fight you. Because I can respect people having a wrong opinion.
I love Guardians too, but I love Guardians
Bars.
But, respect.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it again.
No, I matter. It's okay if you like. I'm not a big fan of Guardians too. I really don't. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this comment. I'll tell you why. Hoshido474. Thank you for the super chat here. Are you up for the Beyonder to be the king from this movie? That's what I'm thinking they're going to do. Yeah, I mean, we had some comments about that earlier. I completely think that would be an amazing setup if they did do that. And I think if they did enhance it with like him working with a probability realm version of himself. Oh my god, that would be an amazing way to set him up to be the Beyonder. Do it. Coy, how do you feel? You crashing yet?
No, but I'm thinking. I'm just trying to respect. I'm trying to respect your time per one, but I do think there's a likelihood we get a different Kang in Secret Wars than the one we get in Kang Dynasty, and I'm wondering if that's going to be the Kang we just met. I'm also wondering how much they're going to let Jonathan Majors like play with the ridiculousness of a bunch of Kangs. Like, are we going to see I think we're going to see Kang in like every property going forward except Guardians, to be honest. But I wonder how much that's going to change because of the reception from this film. Like, are they adding Kang or subtracting Kang from the Marvels right now?
You don't think they would have like if you don't think they would have Kang in Guardians 3? Like, imagine he's in Guardians 3. He's fighting Adam Warlock, and then a bunch of ants show.
I want it. Every movie needs a Kang interlude interrupted by ants to get us back to the main plot.
Okay, so here's the scene. You got that, like, they're walking up slow, right? And they're coming up, and you've got Groot, and he's doing a slow-mo walk, and then Groot goes, I am ants.
I am ants.
That's it. That's the third act.
On your ants.
I think always do it. I feel like the Duffer Brothers could make a great
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I don't know about a movie though, because their expertise is in shows.
You
right?
know what I would have them do is have a side X-Men show, like not the main
Oh,
core
that
X-Men,
would be cool.
but like an X Factor or an not X-Force. That's a little too dark. But like I would have a teen drama X team that they handle, and like that slow introduces characters.
Yes.
Oh, they do a great Generation X. That's super 90s, like Jubilee, Chamber, like have those characters 90s style Duffer Brothers, Disney Plus.
Oh, maybe amazing. Finn Wolfhard as Wolverine. Brady Iyer.
Gaten Matarazzo is Beast. Yeah.
Sadie Sink would actually not
Yeah,
be a
solid
bad
Jean
rogue,
Grey.
actually, now that I think about it. She wouldn't be a bad rogue.
Jean Grey.
Jean Grey? Jean Grey, that makes way more sense, yeah.
But
She
who
literally
could?
floats in his red hair.
Yeah.
But who could Joe be? Who could you know?
Joe Keery's Booster Gold already.
Fair enough.
DC's got him.
Yeah.
Brady Iyer.
Be a good Gambit though.
Everyone, I want
Oh.
everyone to read this. I'm so excited for The Flash. I'm also excited that Warner Brothers hired Andy Muschietti to direct their Attack on Titan live-action adaptation. His direction
boy.
style perfectly fits the story like Attack on Titan.
How would you define his direction style?
Oh my God,
Put it to the chat too.
amazing.
Well, that's the thing is he has
Bye.
such a status right
What
now.
just happened?
He has such a status, and he's getting these huge projects, and
Guys, you
and
heard
no shade whatsoever. But I am curious as to what his style is,
Well,
Bye.
I think
because like it just has like a blockbuster horror style to me. It doesn't really scream this person's vision.
out of the three of us, I'm definitely the biggest Attack on Titan fan here.
Sure.
Because I think
You've
only one who's
seen it.
That
But-
makes him the biggest.
But I have started. I've never read a manga, and I am now on volume 2 of the Attack on Titan manga
Oh.
because the show's coming back, and I was like, rather than rewatching the show, let me just read the manga,
Read
and then
comics.
get up to when before the show continues. Like stop
Yeah.
right before, because it's pretty accurate. And dude, it's amazing. I love a manga.
I feel like
I was like, then I start previewing other mangas, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I might like this
Yeah.
style a little more. Yeah,
become a book person.
yeah, I love. I really love it.
Muschietti, I feel like, does a lot of really wide sweeping pushes. I feel like Muschietti does a lot of wider frames than in the close up for emotionality. Like I think he has a visual style, but I also feel like that does suit the little bit I know about this. But I also think that's why I want him for Superman. I think he could do a really cool Superman.
Yeah, it's good point. Dan V900. Hey, can't wait for Justice League Gods and Monsters next week. It might not be Justice League Gods and Monsters next week.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Greg's gonna tell us
We'll
on
see.
the day.
I'm gonna
funny.
throw a wrench in here.
It's funny. Somebody commented like, "Oh, it's so cool you're doing these in linear order like me," and I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna hold.
Yes. Jovan, I did hear me mention on the Mr. Movies Weekly Plan, Mr. Sunday Movies Weekly Plan. I got so excited.
Nerded out so hard over that.
He was like, so the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, in his Australian accent, Quantumania early reactions before the review embargo lifted have been like really great. But you know, it's not great from everyone. And he mentioned my take, and I was like, oh God. Damn, I'm being looked at as the only one saying something bad. And then the reviews lifted, and I was like, oh.
You were the harbinger.
I was the.
You were the messenger.
I made the. I got a real. I don't.
You were the
If there's
herald.
time before 2:30, remind me. Say, Greg Tangent, get it off your chest about how people handle early reactions. I got some issues.
We
that I
should
want-
set up a
wanna
thing
call
like
some shit out.
Mr. Sunday Movies has the veto. We should have like a tangent token where once a stream somebody can take the tangent
Ooh, I
token
like
and
that.
do it.
Yes.
I like that.
The
So-
Last Dragon Lady. Do you think Victor Timely actually becomes He Who Remains? No, because He Who Remains made it pretty clear of like interaction. I feel like that would undercut it too. I feel like you got to just have it be He Who Remains. I mean, have them be two distinct characters. Personally, right, Coy? Do you agree?
Personally, I think the more Kangs is going to make the character more interesting.
More Kangs. Raccoon Shampoo. Thank you. If the Marvel awards exist, then I think Kang should win Worst Henchman. Wow. I hope he gets a better disposal army for Avengers. It was real undermining when you do think, like, I built this army to take to conquer. I'm like, but it
I
didn't
am a
take much to
master
take
inventor.
it. Yeah.
I was like, you've clearly focused on quantity over the quality of your product, sir. These things
Yes.
aren't effective at all.
Fair enough.
Also, are they organic? Because the
They
one dude
could
reads their
not.
mind.
Yeah, and like he talks like I was going to
Damn.
stop you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no real
I'll
rules.
die first.
What a-
Damn. Which funny, but also
Did he birth them like in that case?
He birthed them.
Kang
Yeah.
on your
That's
birth.
that's
Push
what
Kang.
That's what Janet did. She
She
gave
helped
birth
to
to Kang's
deliver
army.
thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of Kang babies.
Things work differently in the quantum realm, man. Aaron Kalachi, thank you. I've had the opinion since the Loki that we'll see all the road lead to Kang. Think we'll see him in many movies coming up. First of many being Miss Marvel, and credits to grasp Kang. He is always involved. I think you get too much of Kang, it can be a little undermining. I mean, like Coy's thinking that there's going to be a lot of Kang, but I think you gotta space everything. You really gotta space it out. If there's too much Kang, I think it becomes less exciting.
Well, I think it'd be cool if they introduce certain Kangs that aren't as big bad,
Yeah,
so you have contrast.
Yeah,
Coy,
I'd like
what
to
do you
see.
think?
I'd like to see the Marvels Kang be a like regular guy. Even like you could just have someone. Jonathan Majors could show up. Like it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to have levels of threat like
but
that.
And
then
have
a
the
bunch,
conundrum of like, we know where this guy might go.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that would add a little bit more than just like it's the biggest Kang ever. Oh no, it's not. Like I'd like to just see have a lower level.
Yeah, just have like a regular guy who doesn't have time travel, but still have a bunch of ants show up. Just
Always have a bunch of ants
Just
show up.
In space.
That's all I want.
Space
take him on
ants.
space.
I want a lever that you
Crawling
can
on
just pull in any MCU movie that can trigger the
Ants.
ants to show up.
And then they just cut to that trailer that I love so much.
I want them to go
Ants.
back and CG the ants into the end of Endgame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
retroactively.
So they
ants.
just they're on your left as well.
Anurag, I think we got 2 in here. Yeah, we're saying 1 out of 2. I don't see the second part.
We'll
It's gonna
get-
be weird.
Yeah.
Don't worry. MCU is missing RDJ's Tony Stark. He's so great to anchor the Infinity Saga, interacted with multiple heroes, enhancing them. I thought after Endgame, Strange Thor would be that anchor, but Marvel failed to do that. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the sense of unity is not really so much explaining how everything connects, but having a couple of defined leaders, because there's no Avengers right now, though. That's the thing, is there's no actual Avengers.
Yeah, and there's
Right?
not any like central figure.
I do think that's an issue, is that like everyone wants to have a hub you're growing and coming back to and growing and coming back to. And phase 1 through 3 was like, we leave the Avengers, we come back to the Avengers. The Avengers break up, they come back together.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's not necessarily, I mean, obviously Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and Thor are all huge, but I also think it's the sense of that unity that maybe Shang-Chi is going to be, or maybe, Wong could have been. There should be a more of a figure. I agree.
Yeah, perhaps you're all wrong.
I felt like they were setting up Doctor Strange personally, and then it just didn't, like,
Yeah, so I thought
like
that
I
was
really
wrong.
thought he was the new Tony for them, but.
Tony Stark.
I want to put a suit of armor around the quantum realm.
Lose towards. I don't mean to sound dark, but I wanted to see Ant-Man lose to someone. I expected someone to get killed off, and I hate they got rid of MODOK so quick.
MODOK, I think you can easily variant back into the fold.
I think it would have been cool to see Ant-Man get killed off, and it would have given him that arc that John and I were talking about earlier. But at the same time, maybe they'll kill him off at the beginning of King Dynasty. They'll Loki him, You know what I mean?
It's right at
Sure.
the top.
Just kill him off right at the top.
I don't,
Him and Wasp.
I don't begrudge them not losing someone, but I feel like it would have been a very interesting thing to do.
The opening of King Dynasty is Wasp walking into a CVS going, "Fine, I'm going to get the shot. I'm going to get it." And then Kang shows up
and I wonder
prevents
how
her.
much that I wonder how much that affected her character. Like they didn't pull Bill Murray out
Didn't.
because he's become problematic, but he's also playing the exact person he is
He's
problematic for
being talked
being.
about, yeah.
So
Hated-
it's people were okay with
Hey,
that.
Evangeline Lilly believes in science in this world. That's why she's acting.
Peyton Reed said it was that didn't matter. They don't care about that. They said they all they didn't wear masks around Mel
Just
Rodriguez.
around
What does it mean? What does it all mean for Scar's hairline?
Oh, welcome, James P.
Who needs? Oh, Scar! My God, yeah. There's so
yeah,
much
yeah.
set up. I forgot all about that.
What does it all mean for Scar's hairline?
That's a great example.
It
is
will
like,
keep receding.
We just had that show, and like we're already
No.
so like there's so much going on.
I want Scar's hairline to keep
To-
encroaching on his forehead.
Say
A
what,
seed.
Yeah.
say what you will about the She-Hulk finale. I think it's a great representation of some of the chaos that is the Marvel setup pantheon at the moment. Of like, yeah, no, it's kind of all over the place right now. Some of it's great, some of it's, but I don't really know exactly where it's going. But somehow King unites it all.
That's a great example of me being like, I thought this was going to land in phase 5 and 6, and then them being like, well, we can get rid of 3 of the shows because it doesn't really. I'm like, if it was so cohesive, that wouldn't be as easy to
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm worried for the first time, because if we're only getting Secret Invasion and what's the other one this year? Loki this year, and they're able to move 3 of their 5 shows to another year, then how does that impact everything? Is it a domino effect they're accounting for, or is it not as cohesive?
Don't forget about the resurrection, though. Mel
Of
Gibson's
Jesus?
Mel Gibson's resurrection.
yeah.
That's going to connect too.
So Jesus is an Avenger.
When is Jesus gonna
Jonathan
join
Majors
this
is going to be
universe?
playing.
Oh, he's gonna play
You gotta
Jesus.
see Jesus was a Kang variant.
I would love. He comes out, he moves the rock, and he's like, Kang!
Jesus
Yeah.
Kang.
And
Bunch
then,
of ants.
And a bunch of ants come out of the cave. Yeah.
Well, the Last Supper, they historically they left out food.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't clean up after the Last Supper, ants come. This is how you get ants.
James
Do you want
Gunn in the
ants?
chat. What's up, James Gunn in the chat?
Archer is also in the MCU.
Shield vids. I just thought about what. Who's that?
Hollywood Reporter.
Said the war between the Kangs is the threat. We are so focused on Kang versus us. Maybe the problem will come when he fights himself and causes incursions, and that's why I think you
That'd be
should.
cool.
If there's a combination of who wrote that book, Justin Thoreau.
Jackson Lanson.
Jackson Lanson.
Justin Thoreau.
If you're right, read the
Walden Kang.
Jackson Lanson.
Kang
run.
Pond.
Like I don't buy a lot of comics. I mean, I have the Marvel Unlimited app, and I got an iPad, and I read a lot from there, and it's actually a really great way to do because it like focuses on one section at a
So
time.
cool.
Because I can have a bit of a visual overstimulation with a full page.
Frames,
But I'm
frames,
like,
frames.
Yeah. So I like how it just focuses in, and that's how I've been reading Attack on Titan.
And also, if you've never read comics, it's really nice to not get overwhelmed by the medium. If you've never touched it, it guides you through the page. So
Yeah.
Marvel Unlimited, highly recommend. And yeah, Jackson Lansing's Kang 2021.
Yeah.
Great jumping on point.
Justin Thoreau.
Justin Thoreau, dude.
But yeah, I would like that. And we got the second part of your question here on Rock. We forget that we've seen Tony every year from 2015 till 2021. And the new movies doesn't make us care about journey of protagonists. It makes me fear if MCU would be reactionary and bring back Tony and Cap.
That's my worry.
You think they'll bring it back?
I think Downey has had a few years off to Downey it up. I hope
But
Oppenheimer.
he's had a flourishing career since then.
Oh no, it's not that. I think he just doesn't have the scale of Tony's. Like when he's playing Tony Stark, he gets to be Tony Stark.
Yes.
Oppenheimer, he's playing a scientist, and he's had great things
He's
happen.
an Oppenheimer.
Yeah, he's in the trailer.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen the trailer.
But I think that there's a wonderful hero fulfillment being Tony Stark. So I
Yeah.
think that. I worry that both he and Chris will come back and it'll undermine Phase 3.
No. I think they should bring back Chris and Captain America New World Order.
Sam Wilson just never gets to.
Let's say at the very end, Sam
most of the-
Wilson's struggling, and then Steve Rogers shows up to
On the
save
back
the
of a
day.
bunch of ants.
Yeah, that would be great.
There's just a subplot of Sam always calling Steve, being like, "What do I do, man? Tell me what
Instead
to
of
do."
Nomad, he is
Yes.
white savior. No, I think Sam Wilson might. Oh, actually, you know what? That's what they should do. They should focus on him being the anchor. Maybe New World Order will help us anchor around Sam because he's from the original guard. He is going to be the
Yeah.
leader of the Avengers. That'd
Sure.
be nice to have something to unite around.
Yeah,
If they bring back Tony, I want it to be sinister. I want it to fake you out into being like, "Oh, good, Dad's back." Oh no, he's not.
Yeah.
I would rather that.
like that too.
Let him do the heel turn version, so it's interesting.
When they bring back Old Man Stark in the Brian Michael Bendis, John Romita Jr. drawn Avengers stuff, there's a nefariousness to him that'd be fun.
I love that Secret Wars now has the SW moniker because
Star
the order of events in my mind, whenever I see SW, goes sex work, Star Wars, and now Secret Wars.
Downey Jr. will be back to the sex work.
Yeah,
Apparently it has not gone as well as we thought.
He would make a killing. Oh my God!
Oh my God.
Celebrity escorts, do it.
Man.
It's
We're
not as
ready,
bad
Greg.
as
Drive
what Coy
says
said
the
earlier.
first post-credit scene just felt weird to me.
Yeah, it's a little kooky.
Yeah.
It's a little wacky. Off
We
the
have
walls.
nitpicked the shit out of that post-credit scene already.
It's the theme of the day.
I am excited to do my live show with Campia and Harloff tomorrow when I've already reached the point where I'm sick of talking about this movie. And now I'll do it in front of a live audience.
It was quick this
No,
time.
that'll
And
create
it was
fun
quicker.
energy.
No, I'm like,
That'll
hey,
create a good
perfect.
wryness.
I am ready to put this to rest, guys.
Cocaine
But
bear
that
next
can be the flavor you bring. The show probably needs that.
I'll be like, sure, guys, whatever you think. That's gonna be my whole attitude. Yeah, whatever.
You need to be the wild card.
Joshua Novoa, do you think spacing the movie's TV show out will significantly increase the writing? The Infinity Saga was 10 years, but the saga is ending in 2. It does. It would help to space it out. I do think it is, especially because if not every project is going to have a long-lasting impression or feel great, truly great, then it does start to feel like you're getting oversaturated. I did not have that concern until a little while into it. I was like, I don't feel like they're oversaturated. I feel there's a big variety of them, and they knock it out of the park a lot of the time. And to me, I do think they should spread this out a little bit.
I think they are. We're getting 3 movies, 2 shows this year. That's like half the content we got last year, right? Like,
yes, it
so
is.
it's pretty
yes,
much.
It is less.
So that's.
Yes.
I think they're looking at that.
Yes, it is.
And I have a lot of hope for the Marvels.
And I hope that maybe in
Talking
moving
about you, John.
some of these things out of the cool, sure, yeah, why not? You know what? I understand my feelings about that movie, and having thumbed through the God Butcher comic, I'm like, yes, I can see that this would have been a very different and probably much more agreeable and badass movie, but I still love a lot of what's in there. But I don't think that it's actually bad that they're moving certain things out of the timeline, because I think some things should be contained and some things should be very serial, and I think part of the no man's land of Phase 4 has been that they've been kind of in the middle on all that.
Yeah,
There's like a little connectivity, kind of, but not as much as anyone seems to expect, and everything's kind of serial, but not. So just
True.
I feel like they're both trying to appeal to the people that make TikToks analyzing every single Easter egg and the mainstream audience.
But Strife, I have a question from Strife here. I see how I did that. Natural. He would pay you to explain the entire MCU.
Oh, the entire MCU.
Yeah.
Well, I would pay to have Luis do that from Ant-Man, and I think that was the thing they could have done to start Phase 5, but instead.
You should do a
Yes.
video that gets updated every phase, where it is a comprehensive explanation of the phase up until now, and then you just re-upload that video the next time, but with an addendum that
But
ever grows.
Honestly, like with the MCU shows being so dense and there being so many and them not quite tying in, it would have been really interesting to see Luis talk about the MCU shows to Paul Rudd. Like, you were gone 5 years. Here's what happened, and he just does the MCU
now there's
shows.
a Lady Hulk, and there's like this, and there's
That would have
this.
been so much fun. And instead, I will accept your Canadian dollars to do the same.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But Kevin Black has a question. He says, hey, guys, sorry it was a disappointment. I would recommend having watched it on edibles. Felt 10 times weirder. And watch it 3 times. Felt 10 times weirder.
3 times the charm.
Watch it on edibles. I can't watch a movie in the theaters on edibles or even, like, with one hit. I can't do it.
Do you get to, like...
in theater, my mind cannot process it. It's too much for me to handle.
Too much stimulation.
Yeah, like some people are like, you should smoke and read comics, and I'm like, yeah, it's really hard for me to do that.
I feel like that'd be harder with a
It's-
comic than a movie.
I have a hard time watching a movie in the theaters, and I just can't. For some reason, my brain. I already have a fast-moving brain. And my mouth cannot keep up with my brain. Like, I cannot spit out I can't do what Coy does, where it's like your mouth and brain seem to be like like it's like a computer, and my mind's moving too fast that sometimes I can't articulate. You know?
I struggle with that at times, and I think that the way to watch this movie would actually be on, what do I say so you don't get in trouble on YouTube? The thing that informs the zombies in Last of Us. I would Last of Us this experience. That edible experience would be fun.
I could watch stuff at home.
This will be great at home on The Last of Us.
But I can't do theaters. It's too big.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
there's people.
main problem. It's too big for me. I just can't handle it.
Sip that lean the next time you go to a movie. Evan Fowler.
Little scissor.
Like, there are some movies, like, I would love to do a reaction to Dread, because I saw that on an edible, and I can't tell you a thing that happened in that.
I'm so
I have
excited to see
no
that.
idea what happened in that movie. And there's other movies like that too. Like, I don't know what happened because I was on an edible.
Cocaine Bear. It's gonna be a time.
Damon from Tex, as John likes to say, thank you for the moment of silence. Career development, thank you, buddy. Could you shout out my wife, Taika Waititi? Tell her Happy Valentine's Day for me. Christy Waits, Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy V-Day.
My God, you got a great,
Happy love.
great hubby here, and he's lucky to have someone just as fine and understanding as you.
Plus,
My
you guys must be
goodness.
so secure, being that
career development itself.
he's
No,
career development.
That's amazing. You got to have
You
that
found the
ambition
right
in your
guy.
life.
Yeah, smart.
But
thinking
check
ahead.
out what Bit Clarky has to say. I assume they now have a portal to come to the quantum realm anytime they want. I mean, it would seem that way. Also, if they are quantum size, then what size are their atoms? Coy, you got 10 seconds.
Theoretically, everything would get denser as the scale shrinks because they're able to use that density to get violent because they're able to change that in real time with inertia. So conceptually, their atoms would be proportional to their size, but still that much smaller.
You did it. Thank
Right?
you, Big Clarky.
Conceptually, would just condense.
Oh my
That's
God.
why you have to wear the suit.
So true. But Daniel Jones has a question. He says, "Hey guys, big fan of the channel. Did y'all discuss if Scott effed up? I have a theory that this Kang wasn't the true villain. Just his approach about it was a more violent version of He Who Remains."
I think that's an interesting idea, that it's like each Kang we meet in this the better argument for this isn't the prime Kang, we'll see him down the line, is that, yeah, like, maybe this one was telling the truth in that you're not going to like what comes instead of me, and if you think I'm bad, that's even worse. And so maybe it is like, yeah, this guy's not a good guy, but at the same time, maybe he's not the worst guy, and maybe,
True.
So
maybe
just
we should have
escalating
listened.
Kangs.
Sure.
And that
Yeah.
ties into that last ominous bit of Scott walking. I like that.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. 100% same page, yes, and all the way. Mickle Wrath just left the cinema now, Mickle Wrath did. I really liked it. Better than most of the films of Phase 4.
Cool.
I mean, do you, is there a, John, what's the thing you like least in Phase 4?
Oh,
I set it up
goodness.
nicely for
Hawkeye,
you.
Probably
Hawkeye. Do you like this more than Hawkeye?
Sure.
Yes, we got there. Coy?
I don't like it more than Kate Bishop and you know.
Movie or all?
All.
I think my lowest is What If, and I liked this more than What If.
Hell yeah, that's great to hear. My lowest was Shang-Chi.
What?
And I like this more than Shang-Chi.
Black
now I
Panther
know.
Wakanda Forever is my lowest.
Greg hated No Way Home. He told me.
Yeah, it was too woke for me. Jay Toller.
There were women.
Too many women. They killed all. Why they make Aunt May Uncle Ben? Come on.
It's right there. Come on. The agenda.
Thanks for the super chat here, Jay. Hey, you guys, listen, we got to understand this was just an exiled Kang in the quantum realm. Without the right things he needed, he can only do so much being smart. I thought he was fierce with a weakness of ants. Yeah. Well, you know, I still feel like he was down there for a while and he had enough technology to conquer the quantum realm. I think that he still could have been more prepared and showed more of a ruthlessness and built some better things to combat people. And perhaps the movie would have just worked a little bit better for me if it displayed some of his excellent strategy during the battle, because that's a big part of Kang: strategist, navigator, the art of war.
I saw very little strategy after a point, and those first two acts,
No,
lots of strategy.
he turned into fire everything.
Everyone!
Well, I mean, it is
Yeah.
his chance to get out. I don't know. We don't need to talk about it.
I know, but he still could use strategy.
Yeah, sure, he could have.
Oh, John became a massive Marvel shill after the third viewing.
I just had a way.
Katie.
The movie improved a little bit on technical rating, but the experience improved to like an 8 or so. Like, I actually had fun the third time, and even if I was like, logically I don't love this choice, but the overarching whimsy and silliness brought everything together in a way that was really fun to experience, especially with a crowd who, again, wasn't like, oh yeah, but was into it. So
I would love to be a kid and watch this movie.
it was a very enjoyable experience.
I think there's a big difference between I would love to be a kid and watch this movie and this is for kids, and also, guys, they make these movies for kids because plenty of kids' movies are made for kids and adults. Plenty of things are enjoyable as a kid and adult, and I think you shouldn't lower your bar for the sake of it being enjoyable for all ages.
Whoa, do you guys hear that? There's a moment of silence here from KDR 401. Thanks, buddy. Raccoon Shampoo, thanks again, dude. With how fast Greg figured out the dog situation, a lot of credit goes to the missus as well. Maybe James Gunn should cast Greg as the DCU Flash. I would love to be him, but I would only channel Ezra Miller the entire time. I have no other brain for myself.
Sure.
What's going on, John?
Nothing.
It's very, very intense focus.
I have no idea what just happened there.
I'm just reading some options.
Vasquez, Joseph, thank you for the super chat. Loved y'all's content, but do you think the movie would have been more impactful or better if Scott had sacrificed himself? 100,000% yes. So that Hope and Cassie could make it back? 100,000% yes. I even had a little bit of, call it nitpicking. I just think that if Kang really wanted out, he wouldn't have wasted his time fighting Ant-Man. I think he would have got it out.
Sure.
I was like, the door's right there. This guy's clearly down. You could just run. Just get over there. Yeah.
He's gonna kick him a couple times first.
Yeah, I think he could have gotten out. Or if he had lost something like in other trilogies. Yeah.
I mean, this movie is full of signposts of like, oh, there's an opportunity for something rich. There's an opportunity for something rich. There's an opportunity for something rich, and they don't take a lot of them.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been as angry at the top of this conversation in live chat if I didn't have hope for what it could have been, and therefore these things are things that I noticed, and that was the problem.
Yeah, the thing, the some of the most contentious aspects of the movie are just potential not realized or not taken on the opportunity.
I'm all the Ant-Man
true.
Scots in that scene going like, the potentials!
Yeah.
I just see all the potentials. And
Yeah.
right now I'm Baskin-Robbins Scott, just
Aw,
vibing.
fair enough.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
Do you have ice cream? I love Do You Have Ice Cream guy, though. That was always good.
Well, I gotta say though, man, but like Bryce Barris's comment here,
Mhm.
Sure.
which I really appreciate. He enjoyed the hell out of the movie.
Good.
He didn't go into it watching any videos or clips of it. Only the two main trailers. It's a lot of. It's mainly the movie.
Sure.
And it made me to edit the review for. Because the thing about the review I did with John is we were all over the place. So it took me a long time to edit. It was almost 40 minutes of footage.
Did.
And then I had to make it easier to find my inserts, I had to do a cut of the footage from the trailers and put it in timeline order of the movie to make it easier to
Oh,
find the
interesting.
footage.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, most of the movie's in here.
Which is an odd phenomenon where on the heels of the previous
Yeah.
phase where they're like, we're only showing
But-
you Act 1.
But
you
I'm
know?
glad you really liked it though.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, they sort of show you him fighting.
They literally have the big
the f-
line
the
of like, we just both have to lose in the
Yeah.
trailer. I was like, that's
Yeah.
the end.
That's like
really.
10 seconds later, King loses. Caleb Wong. I just love the shot when the helmet goes down in the trailer of Ant-Man's helmet, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna die. I'm like, it's such a trailer shot because of like, I know it's gonna be in the movie, but it's not gonna be this tone. And sure enough, that was the
And
thing.
then they're like, yeah, we're safe.
Yeah. Caleb Wong. Hey, Caleb, guess what he says? I was just waiting for Dom Toretto to come in and save Scott with his charger and beat up Kang. I know.
Family.
That would have been cool.
In one universe, it happened.
It's true.
There is an alt universe. I think Jonathan Majors actually be a great villain for a Fast and Furious.
Oh,
film.
I would love that. He'd be a great Bond villain too. I'd love to
Yeah.
see him like get to.
I
fully
only
choose
want to
scenery.
see him play villains, never a hero.
He's
You're an
great in,
interesting
do you see
person.
Devotion?
Dom Toretto.
He was a really good hero in Devotion. Surprised me because I think of him very like as a darker character, but in Devotion he had to play someone that was like stoic because of societal expectations,
True.
but still heroic, and it didn't undermine his gravitas. He's able to be like pensive in a very morose and sad way, and then the moments of heroism are really profound because he never gets to be like the weight's always on his shoulders in that movie. He's so good in Devotion, which not enough people
So
saw.
true. I mean, Lovecraft Country as well. Wait a minute. A moment of silence from M. Severe. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you,
super
Steve.
chat.
Are you the one with the Toyota Celica?
You can
Akon
have any beer you want as long as it's Corona.
He and Janet had Coronas when they fixed the engine.
They had a lot of things.
Blade's not going to suck. They only got to reshoot and rewrite the whole thing.
I think it's going to be great because they took the time to do that. It was supposed to come
Yeah.
out. It literally was, the reason there's a November date for Captain Marvel to take is
Yeah.
because that was where Blade was supposed to land.
Exactly.
That's how late this movie is. I think they pushed it for all the right
They-
reasons.
And they're shooting in like a few weeks now.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be R-rated.
Yeah. No. May? No.
No, it's going to be hard R.
Hard R.
Hard R.
NC-17.
I think
a
Deadpool being
Lita Battle
R.
Angel.
Actually, I think the 48% Ant-Man might get us Blade rated R. to be
I'm
honest.
sorry for saying all this. Aegon012. I don't know if you watched Jane had it previewed. They said that Phase 4 shouldn't have been named Phase 4, but as an interlude stage. Interesting. Should have been don't call it Phase 4. Why? This should have been the proper
Phase
start
1
to
is
Phase 4.
disparate. I mean,
Thoughts?
phase 1 is disparate. The only difference is that you have a definitive Avengers to market.
Yeah, I think that the way that 3-act structures in film work is the way that 3-act structures in the MCU work. So you still
No.
need the Phase 1, which is the Phase 4.
Yeah, there's just lots of debating and there's lots of, stuff like that appropriate to a first act of something.
They should have called it Phase Woke. Am I right, men?
Yeah.
Right.
There
Yeah.
are almost as many women as men in it.
I hate that. I hate that.
People
They're
that
black
Their
people
job
now.
is just supposed to birth us. Pandemic Jones. Thanks, PJ. I liked this movie, but I have liked majority of Phase 4. And now this, unlike most people. Hey, question. Thanks for being here. Do you guys think if Guardians of the Galaxy 3 gets negative reviews, I don't think it will, that people will give up on the MCU? There's no giving up on the MCU because the only thing that gets negative reviews are the Council of Critics that decide to assemble together and vote unanimously on what the percentage score
Will
should
we
be.
like this one?
And then the
or will we
audience
not?
goes, rebel!
Blat or tomato? Will it be? Yeah, it's actually just Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix.
it's just one guy.
I think Guardians 3 is such an exception.
Prime Kang is a
because
movie
people
critic.
no one really goes like the Peyton Reed. Like there's a very few films like Thor: Love and Thunder gets a lot of crap from Taika Waititi, not necessarily Marvel. Like Marvel definitely, but a lot of the conversation goes through Taika Waititi's film. This will go more to James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 3, whereas like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, you got some people who acknowledge it's Peyton Reed's movie. It really feels like another Marvel film. You know what I
It
mean?
feels like
Yeah.
Marvel directed.
Also,
it,
look
yeah.
at Phase 4 actually. Like, it got us Shang-Chi, it got us No Way Home, it got us Wakanda Forever. Even if you, I mean,
Loki, WandaVision.
yeah, there's so much goodness in it. So I feel like people are just pointing out the negative because if there's 10 properties and 3 are bad, then that's still a better ratio than most franchises. And there isn't that many bad compared to how many are good. I think it's a very interesting thing that we're like so quick to judge. They've given us way more good than bad, is what I'm saying.
I agree. No, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
And I feel like when things are just kind of all right, people are more upset by it.
That's not true. You saw it 3 times. Adam Ramirez. How is Sylvie going to feel all those chickens? Huh?
What happened just now?
Feed all those chickens? Kangs?
Sylvie? What? What's happening?
What about chickens?
Is she supposed to be? Is this like? Are they gonna make love or something?
I just had a stroke. I don't know what's going on.
What do chickens
Does
mean?
this have something to do with the McDonald's thing?
Sylvie from
Is she getting nuggets for Kang?
Loki.
I don't understand.
These words don't make sense in this order to me.
Adam Ramirez, if you're still in the chat, clarify.
Help me out.
We would love to answer your question.
I love how confused I am.
Avron. I need a spin-off with the Outcast characters. Oh my
Sure.
god, I would love that. I would love for them to do a Daryl show
Daryl.
where he hangs out with the Outcast characters.
I still want a pet Avengers, man. We've got enough. There's enough pets.
It's true.
We can make a pet Avengers.
I think they should do it without dialogue too.
Yeah,
That'd
whole
be fun.
episode.
Yeah.
Do it like Homeward
And
Bound.
it'll be like, what the hell's going on? in this
Pizza dog and Flirkin' cat.
They should just have a lot of scenes where they like full on scenes that are like 10 minutes long that are dialogue driven, but they don't give us subtitles. So it's just like a dog barking and a cat meowing for
It's
like
art.
10 minutes.
It's high
And
art.
we're like, I don't know what's happening in this
But I'm
exchange,
in. It's profound.
But I'm glad they dedicated the time. to
Crocodile
do
Loki walks by with his little hat.
yeah, Heather Gear. Sending extra love before I head out because this was the best part of my weekend. Really? I always respect the thoughtfulness of your reviews. The
Appreciate
weekend's
it.
just begun.
You got this. You got a whole Saturday night, Sunday to go.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Heather.
Appreciate it, Heather.
Oh my God,
All the
dude!
love.
Disney does
Hope
pay.
you're doing well.
I love how people were like, "Oh, from those paid reviewers." They're like,
I've never heard of someone,
Disney,
and like we're
Disney
in this
paid
world.
That would
reviewers
be
to give it bad
great.
reviews. That's
I've
That would be awesome
never
if they would
heard-
pay.
thank you,
That's
Heather.
fun.
Gear.
It's strange.
I would
concept.
gladly accept pay. Pay me, and I will recommend your movie. I'll change my opinion, Disney.
Delete all these videos.
I will delete them all if you pay me enough to supplement the loss.
Sure.
And us.
Come on, Disney. Oh my, it'd be such a good video to monetize if I like exposed Disney for trying to pay me. Oh my god, how
Yeah.
great of a video.
Just get a check.
it.
and it's
I'll
just
be
the
like,
mouse.
I can make more money by exposing
I
you.
will double this money.
Yes.
Create fake news.
Aegon012. Would it have been better if someone died? Who? Well, dude, no, Kang died. It was great.
It was, yeah,
Worked.
totally worked.
It worked. I think
No, MODOK died.
MODOK did die. I felt for him, man.
reals.
That was great.
He died in Avenger.
He died in Avenger. All right, I think we're at the end here. Let me just do a quick refresh. Everyone hold your horses. Everyone hold your horses. Steady. Steady. Keep cool. That's how I have to talk to John Campea tomorrow. Steady. Calm down, John Campea.
Tomorrow.
You're gonna do the Chris Pratt hand with
Yeah.
John
Hey,
Campea. Just
hey,
and Harloff though. It's gonna be a Campy and a
John
Harloff. You gotta keep him.
Campea,
He's gotta keep.
please. Please, Campea.
Whoa, whoa,
Whoa,
What's he
whoa.
doing?
Oh,
What's he
hey,
doing?
Hey,
It's just spoilers
here's
popping up.
here's a carrot. I'm gonna bring carrots on stage.
I'm very excited for this chaos.
You Vidino, thank you so much here. I think Quantumania was meh. Was just sending me my review. Kang was Kang was threatening because of John Madge only. Quantum Realm was boring, characters boring, story boring. Boring is a worse review for a movie than bad. Just mundane, monotonous, sad, but whatever.
I never found it boring.
I never found it boring.
I was more.
I thought there were certain choices that were very stock, but yeah, I get what you mean though. Like something meh is worse than bad.
You're not done. I just felt like Ant-Man
Oh, there's more.
was sidelined for the Quantum Realm. Yes, it's called Quantumania. It's also called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Didn't feel like there were more. You know, I'm Italian, so I feel like I could say the racial slur that begins with a W.
Ant-Man on the Wop?
I'm always tempted to say it.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't feel like they were important at
I
all.
got flagged on Twitch the other day for saying the Irish word that rhymes with Rick, and I was shocked. Like, I actually got. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I thought it was mine. I thought I could.
Now, which one of those two slurs is more offensive?
I didn't feel like they were important at all, and I just feel like, how? Unless useless this movie actually felt. Like Loki, my favorite TV show of all time, alongside like two other my favorite TV show, not Marvel TV show. So if Loki 2 doesn't live up, I'll smack Marvel out of my life. Goodbye, disappointment. Now I can live without constant fear of failure.
It's got very. It's got very intense.
That is a
minute ago.
life-changing. It sounds like this movie was a great experience for you overall. Then, if you can alleviate that fear of failure, my God,
That's profound. That's like therapy.
John struggles with that on a minute-to-minute basis.
I do. Don't even. Don't speak the truth. Don't
bring this into
Every decision, man. Every decision.
So much
If
anxiety.
all this multiversal shit has taught me anything, it's that every decision is significant.
I'd love to see John in a probability realm.
It will be a chaotic experience.
Yeah, man. It sounds like to me it was a worthwhile experience to get rid of that emotion for you, though. Hey, Diego Alaska, thank you for the Streamlab. Been watching since I was 1-1, now 20. And wow, we've come a long way since TASM 2. Also, hope this ages well, but I really believe the next Superman movie could be one of the best super flicks ever. Superman done right is powerful. Oh my God, yes. Have you guys seen Koi's video on DC versus the Snyderverse, where he flat out says Zack Snyder's movies are terrible and the fan base is the worst thing in the world?
That is what I say.
Never watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. He
All I
said it,
I did.
and I was right there
He was
looking
like,
at the video going,
enhance.
oh my
And then when he
God.
burned
This
that
is gonna
picture
get
of Zack
so much
Snyder,
engagement.
yeah, just like watched it burn up in
Yeah.
his hand.
Cackling maniacally. Yeah. Great
Yeah,
video.
and
Great
then we
video.
did this great opacity
Yeah.
effect where he blended you into the Inglorious Bastards
It was
and scene
very
where they killed all the
intense.
Nazis.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
People love the video. People love
It was great.
No, I think that Superman has to be a force of hope and light, and I think that the
No.
world needs that more than ever. So
Negative.
the bar is high in this film.
Now
Yeah.
it should be Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Playing Superman, I would love to see Henry Cavill
No, I
play
think it should
Superman
be
for the
Dark
first
Destroy
time.
some buildings.
Yes, Lana Pico, the super chats have closed. You might be able to leave a sticker. But
Lana
yes.
Pico!
Yeah. Yeah.
She's great. She's awesome.
Terrific.
John subscribes for OnlyFans, #1
I
customer
subscribe to
there.
every OnlyFans.
Everyone?
That's-
Send me your shit and I'll subscribe to you.
No. It's okay, admit it.
To Lana's OnlyFans? I don't think so.
Well,
I would feel strange.
Maybe
you know,
you
'cause
shouldn't
we have like
have-
a professional.
maybe you shouldn't have watched Ant-Man for a third time and instead gone and
with the
checked out
people.
Lana's
With the people.
OnlyFans.
I went to be with the people.
Quentin Watts said, and then Coy released a bunch of ants and Zack Snyder's heads.
And it's just him and Hope. You're like, what?
There's gotta
Why?
And then like Zach wakes up, like, I like ants.
I like ants.
I'm just in his living room. I like ants.
Rebel Moon just has a bunch of ants living underneath it now.
Why
Deborah's like, Hoy again. I like ants.
Let me make sure this is the last of everything, including it is the last of that one. Everyone, cool your jets. Steady. Everyone's
Cool, you
steady now.
Go subscribe to Lana's OnlyFans.
Oh no, we
anytime.
did miss one super chat. One super. Look at this tree from Jenny.
Aww,
She made it herself.
Little tree sticker.
Thank you, Jenny.
Loving it.
So sweet. So sweet. And last one from the Streamlabs, Whitehawk842. Whitehawk, the best color. I'm split on this movie. I want to like this movie, but it feels like critics make it feel like it's wrong to enjoy something that others dislike.
No.
Critics make you feel that way?
No.
Critics make you feel that way.
Critics speak in
Not
superlatives that
not
can
fan
make you
bases.
feel.
Not fandom. Critics.
critics can speak definitively in a way that makes you feel like your opinion might be invalid by
Yes.
don't. That's not good.
I think it's really weird that we look at Rotten Tomatoes as like, do I see this movie or not? I think you should look at a movie and go, I should see this movie or not. Like, it doesn't make any sense to let critics affect your experience in general. Like, we should be the thing you refer to after you see the movie, and I don't even consider myself a critic, but like Greg said, we do critique on the internet, and things are monetized, so like there's an element to that, but it shouldn't be the deciding factor for you, and no one should control your experience of something. If you enjoy something and other people don't, you're in the benefit. You had 2 hours of better life than I did. If I didn't enjoy it for 2 hours and you did for 2 hours, I'm happier for your experience than mine. So don't let anyone inform anything you do except you.
well, and a critic is just
speak with such an authority. Do they? I don't get that vibe.
I also don't know any, I don't know any
I
critic
don't
that I
underst-
listen to.
I think you can read, especially if you're reading. I think you can
true,
read
Jenny.
a critic and feel like, yeah, this is a definitive statement on
black
this
and white.
movie. This is how it is. And granted, it's up to you to be like, no, it's still just their opinion. And in writing classes, they tell you, don't say in my opinion, just say what it is.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like the point is
Really?
a critic. They do, yeah. Sometimes it's not universal, and obviously people break from that. But yes, it's a formality that, like in a newspaper review, you might see or something like that. But I think the thing to remember is that if you are a person who really loves movies, who has seen a lot of movies, who cares in any way about cinema and filmmaking in an invested way,
No, Joss.
congratulations, you are at the rung of. You're pretty much like all the other critics. Critics are just people who've seen a lot of movies, care about movies, and have some vague knowledge of how they're made, and are giving their opinions based off of that. So really, the way critics get lumped into this category of being like a whole other kind of person with a whole other kind
It's
of brain,
so strange.
it doesn't really. No Jaws.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand the separation
You
of
can be a
humanity
critic,
from
you know?
critics. Like, it's a very odd thing that's happened in the last 10 years with the online culture being what it is. It's
I feel like fandom is so much more aggressive.
Way
than
worse.
Fandom
critics.
is full of critics.
Fandom is
Jesus.
like if you like something that a big part of fandom doesn't like, they
I get
harass
death
you.
threats. And I'm not a
They-
paid critic. I get death
They
threats.
harass you.
It's insane.
Like
Every
the top comment on our Ant-Man video is like, "You guys recommended Thor: Love and Thunder," so and I'm like, "God damn, this shit haunts me."
every
And-
discussion of a
and
movie.
Thor: Love and Thunder is the only one that haunts me. I really don't mind admitting to a movie that I like if others don't. I don't mind not liking a movie either. Like I really was under the impression Quantumania is like everyone's gonna love this, and I'm gonna be the only one that doesn't. I was really under that impression.
I also had such
So-
a good time with Love and
but-
Thunder with you when we did see it
But
the
yeah,
first time.
there's a reason I don't really care for premieres anymore.
But like, yeah,
but
there's
Quantumania, but no, Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm like, no matter how many times I've said it, like, it only bothers me on that one because I'm like, I've said it 500 times. Second viewing, it really didn't work for me that much. Like second viewing, it really did. It went down a lot for me, but I was still haunted by that, and people are still saying it. I've seen real rejects mentioned on Marvel Studios Reddits for liking for being like, you can't listen to them. They're like, Thor: Love and Thunder.
See,
Yeah.
that bothers me because I feel like
It's not the same
especially
movie.
when it comes to criticism in general, but I would say especially for movies like these, it should always be fun and a joy to talk about them. And if
Sure.
it's getting angsty, something is going wrong. But also, I just feel like people want, in a weird way, people don't like the critical hive mind and yet also still want there to be one accepted take on a movie. So people go, yeah, you liked Love and Thunder, so I can't trust you. When it's like everybody has one or two movies that they kind of disagree with everybody else on or that charmed them, and you go, yeah, I get why this doesn't work for people. As much as I am the most positive on Thor: Love and Thunder in this room and enjoy a lot of immediate things about that movie, I mean, sure, there are flaws with it. There are things that could be better easily. I happen to like it, and I don't feel like that should discredit me. That should be another reason just to form your own opinion. You know?
also like there's everyone's experience going into the movie.
I think it
is
discredits you, John.
completely.
if you can articulate why you like something in a way that makes sense, I feel like you shouldn't be subject to that.
I want to use DC because it's not in
No.
the MCU, but like DC, like BVS to me, those aren't the characters Batman versus Superman. But I got more out of Shazam because I think adoption is really important, and I think family is really important, and I think talking about your not blood family is really important. But if someone lived their whole life, I'm 34, so in 34 years, that's something that shaped me is how important I think adoption is, how important I think family is, and all those things. But if you don't share that, you might get more out of BVS than Shazam. But that doesn't mean Shazam is better than BVS or BVS is better than Shazam. It just means that what we go into that movie for is different. So you can't listen to one person that didn't have your life experience. It's not logical. So much less listening to critics as some sort of like above board Kang council. It makes no sense. Most critics I know are just people that love movies, and a lot of them, like, that's their only thing, and that also makes them differently cynical or differently joyous. It just makes them extreme, and they have to write in black and white. So it's very silly to judge anything based on that. And everything we said today was our opinion, our experience that you happen to want to see if you were here. Most of you, the beginning of the chat was its own thing, but most of you are here for the right reason, and that's your choice. So see what you want, enjoy what you want. Don't ever apologize for your opinion of joy.
On that note, John loves Thor: Love and Thunder.
I like it a lot.
It'll haunt us.
I have
always.
love for that movie. I don't
And
think
I love
it's a perfect
Eternals.
movie, but I do like it a lot.
So, guys, listen. No, I still give Thor: Love and Thunder like a 6 out of 10. It just makes the mark for me. Anyway, guys, listen. Everyone, I want everyone to follow Koi on his YouTube channel. He's doing
Growing it.
videos, and it's doing good. It's doing great. I want everyone to follow John at the Greg Alba.
Sure.
And follow Dad John Humphrey.
And at Real Rejects.
And also, I want everyone here to know I appreciate you being here. Everyone has been very kind. Well, not everyone, but you know what I mean.
Most everyone.
And this was a good
Eternals
time.
is great.
Plenty of alcohol required. Everyone.
Remember drunk streams? Those were fun.
Yeah.
All the streams are fun,
do
but
those
drunk
again?
streams were pretty wild.
What?
We should do an
Or
absinthe
drunk
Green
Super Bowl
Lantern
day. I
watch.
remember that one day we were doing like shots between every trailer.
We should drink absinthe and watch Green Lantern together.
I want to say to I love that Koi is 34.
Absolute
Does
vodka.
anyone have medicine for Koi?
I got ants.
So we gotta end this now. I gotta go do some editing and whatnot. But thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who contributed to our super chats and
Thank you.
Streamlabs. Your support means a lot.
Thank you.
It all goes to fund Koi's retirement. So as a
34.
senior citizen,
Yeah,
you can
no, I-
finally quit.
Walkers aren't cheap.
And Christine, thanks for being here.
An
And
AARP
thanks for
member.
everyone who's going to show up tomorrow at the event. Hopefully, I have some sleep tonight. And I want you to know
He's gonna
that
bring
the
his best
Reject
dance.
Nation loves you all.
Yeah.
Bye, Jenny. Bye, Matt. Bye, Bing Bong Boy. Bye, Liam. Bye, Alan Smithy. It should be thanks, John, Coy, and Greg.
No, it should be
Luminous-
thanks, Greg, Coy, and John.
No, it should be thanks, Coy. John, this is a move for ants.
It should be thanks, ants.
All right, guys, listen. I'm gonna
Thanks.
call it a
ants,
day now.
I believe.
And I've saved enough animals.
Ayahuasca stream.
I like
Let's do
ants.
that. I like ants. I like
We'll
ants.
see you guys soon. John, how do I end the stream?
You hit the big red button that says end stream.
And it will end the entire
It
stream?
will close the stream down, and then you'll stop on the other software
Ants.
Well,
in tandem.
see you guys.
Later, peeps. Ants. I like ants.
I like ants.
Like ants.
Do I hit this button?